traffic. What is this thing on my screen? I got it. I know what I'm doing. Playing traffic. Lewis Lee's own creation with your friends and co-hosts Ray Guarino. We got Matt Coban Bright, of course, and we have Chassis John down there chewing on French fries in Florida.
Oatmeal. How's it going, fellas?
Usual cast of characters. So you give me an intro. I think I'm doing a radio show. I want to have music, but I don't have any. So.
No intro.
Yeah.
So listen, guys, I had a wild week.
Did you?
Okay, my wrist is still hurting.
Wow.
So I got to go to an orthopedic guy. See what's going on in there. Something's wrong because it keeps swelling up and it hurts.
Not good.
What did you do?
I woke up one day.
Bus.
Yeah, I woke up one day and it was hurting.
You know, I found that when you're a gentleman of a certain age, you don't have to really do anything definitive. You just have to do, and then you hurt. So
that's about it. So I added on to my garage, 10 by 12, and I'm going to move the leather shop into that part.
Oh.
And so I got the roof on, I got the sides up, and ran out of time last night. It got late, and I had to go to bed because, you know, I got to be an adult and wake up early.
Right.
And you wonder why you have pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it rained today.
Okay.
So my wood got wet. It didn't get real wet, but enough to make it not.
It's good when your wood gets wet.
I was going to say, when your wood gets wet, that's not a bad day.
So I wrapped it with plastic, and we have a local not rubber, it's plastic.
Yeah, you should have thought of that about 30-some years ago.
Yeah, right. So I tried to get everything done, but ran out of time. Today it rained all day, so I put plastic around it and wrapped it up.
Yeah.
So I didn't get to do no work on it today. And it's just one thing after another.
What John said speaks volumes, because I talked to a lot of friends about the same exact topic. You know, we don't realize in here that we're as old as we are, or that we have progressed as we have, and we just keep doing and doing. And, you know, I would even say we don't even know that we're doing it maybe even slower or taking longer, because, you know, you're in the moment, you know.
Oh, I know it takes longer.
Yeah, I realized
I'm back to doing things that I did for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I only work like on the weekends on this thing. And I'll be all, okay, here's what I'm going to do. And then 4 o'clock rolls around and I'm like, wow.
I didn't get nothing done.
Yeah, you know. And then, like, my wife will say, I was dating you when you used to build these things. And you would build one of these cars in about 6 weeks.
Yeah.
She goes, it's like 9 months. What's going on here? So, yeah.
She wants her
everything
car ready.
slows down. Yes,
She's tough.
Yes.
You know, and I tell you, if you want to know when John gets tired, all you got to do is get on his text or his phone list, because that's when he'll text you or call you and say, I got to tell you about what I'm like, okay, John, he hit the wall. Let's talk. It's like 5 o'clock.
Yeah. Here's what I got done today.
But that's the thing, you know, you can't compare yourself to the 20-year-old or 25-year-old you. It's not fair to do. And, you know, John, it's like working on a car, like what you did for a living. It's like playing the drums, or it's like playing basketball, or anything that you had done regularly before. Yeah, try and do it now. It's not going to be the same. You know, it wouldn't be expected that it would be. It would be a miracle, you know.
I know.
You know, I was climbing up the ladder, putting the roof on yesterday, and the neighbor was standing out there. And I was like, man, 20 years ago, I would have had this thing done.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, everything I did was slow motion, and I got an injury.
Yeah.
Well, I like to think that a lot of that is the work smarter, not harder dictum, because I try to do that. I slow myself down and say, all right, hang on. Like, no rush. You know what? I've been rebuilding this snowblower that I garbage picked a couple of years ago. I just left it outside. I finally decided this year I'm going to go through it. So every day I go out there and I just, for like 45 minutes or an hour, I putter around. I do a little bit more. It's like, it's not snowing out, so I'm not in a rush. You know, I fixed a piece of metal for the thing. You know, I welded it. Now I put it on and it snapped. Okay, now I got to make a whole new piece. So that's going to be another project. But hey, it's just like another project for another day. You know.
There you go.
So.
Yeah, so that was my big. Or I would work on the Cadillac a little bit.
Okay.
One of my daughter's friends is a mechanic. He's, her age is 23.
Right.
So
that's how old my head says I am.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So I wanted to show him a little stuff, on old cars. 'Cause he went to school and he just knows the new stuff. So
yeah,
he's like, man, I don't know if I can work on this. I'm like, bro, everything's welded, bolted, or glued. The same way with new cars, old cars. You unbolt it, put the new piece on, whatever.
Yeah.
So, so last night when I called you, Ray, he had took the alternator off, and he's like, "Oh man, it's the wrong alternator." And I was like, "Well, I think we can switch that around. Move the thing around." I was like, "Let me call the tech support."
Yeah, it had to be reclocked.
Mm-hmm. So
did you get that done? Did you do that?
No, I didn't get to do it today. I was
Okay.
running.
I get slower. Like I said, your best friend is going to be the paper clip to hold the brushes in.
Okay.
I was just talking to Chris, my co-host today. He gave me a call, and we were talking. I was telling him that story, and he knew about that too. He goes, "Oh, is that where you use a toothpick?" I'm like, "Not a toothpick. No, use a paper clip. So it's got to be metal." I said, "I guess it's got really robust toothpick."
I'm gonna have to go buy some. Man. I haven't seen a paper clip. I can't tell you the last
time
I've seen a paper clip.
You can take a small nail, a little finishing nail.
Oh yeah.
I mean, anything that's just not gonna. That's just going to hold that spring pressure down. That's all you need.
Okay.
That's, really, you could use a pin, I guess, if you had to, like if, a straight pin.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, a nail.
See, I'm glad I called you because I would have took it apart and heard that noise and wouldn't have known what to do. I was like, oh.
It goes click, click, and it's the two brushes coming off the commutator, and then the springs release, and then it's like, So if
how do you get that stuff? How do you get that stuff back in if that happens?
A coat hanger.
Yeah,
that's really thick.
I cut a coat. Well, that's how I did it on the tool truck when I changed the housings over.
That's a big alternator. Yeah.
Oh come on, Ray! It's not that big. It's just a little thing.
Is it
200 amps?
Because coat hangers.
That's my problem. It's not enough.
I think a coat hanger has got to be 40 thou.
I think.
But I couldn't find anything because, like you said, you're talking about for the brushes. Yeah. Actually, hold on.
So if you pop them,
mm-hmm.
you can physically push them back. What do? You got to manually push it back and then put a pin in there?
Well, yeah. What happens is I should have brought one in. I got them outside. The brush holder is a plastic device with two square pockets. And what happens, springs go in there. It's just like a spring out of a pen. That's about the size of the spring. Springs go in, and the brushes go in on top of it. And you have to push the brushes down against the spring pressure. And then you push the pin in across it to hold this. The brushes have to be below the level of the brush holder. So it can go over the commutator. And then you pull the pin and the brushes click out against the commutator. And then, that's how it makes its electricity. So yeah, it's the first time you do it, you kind of fumble with it a little bit because it's a little, you got springs and things, but they're not really heavy duty. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Wow.
Oh, wait. My screen went off. Okay, wait a minute. All right, show it again.
Here's the coat hanger, and I slid it through right there to hold the brushes down. I know.
Wow.
Not...
See, that's what Lewis. That's what I was talking about. That piece in Brian's hand. It looks like the crown of thorn. That's the stator. Yeah.
Right.
That's the stationary part, and the rotor is what the brushes contact. And as the rotor turns inside that stator, it makes an electromagnetic field, and that's how it makes the AC. That's the rotor, right? That's how it makes, and that's the commutator right there that Brian's touching. That's where the two brushes ride. In fact, those dark marks are the witness marks from the brushes.
Okay, so I don't have to take it all the way apart like that, right? I can just take the back off?
Yeah, that's really, well, yeah, Brian does have the back case off. He had the back case off because you can see the gut. The stator will come out in the case. Yeah, there's the case.
Okay, so when I take the back off, I'll see those little springs and everything. I'll push them back down, but once I push them down, then what do you do?
That's when you put the pin through the hole to hold them down, and it'll come right out of the back.
So there's a pin in there too.
No, you're going to supply the pin. That's why you need a paper clip or something.
Here, let me put my.
See, Brian has the case off right now.
Oh,
case, okay. Your case will be on. Yeah, there's the brush going up and down.
So
right.
you push the brush down, then you stick the pin.
And then there. I don't know if you can see. I don't know.
There's a groove. You can see the recess in the brush. Brian, turn that right to the camera. Yeah, you see that little groove on top?
Yeah.
See the
That wire is going through, but on the brush holder, it's like a bridge. It's going to go under the bridge to hold the brush down. It's always hard to describe without.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can. Brush holder. I don't know if I can get a better light in there. You can see the hole.
Okay. Yep, that's it.
That hole, and that's where you slide your.
Now the brushes on your alternator, Lewis, aren't going to have a hole.
No, they have a little groove. They actually just have a little groove.
The GMs don't have anything on top.
It's so once you
this actually has a hole in it.
Yeah, yours.
They actually have a hole.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to get a GM brush.
So once you press the pin down, then you stick your other end back in.
Yeah, and that way you can slide it off without breaking brushes.
Gotcha.
Where did I?
Hold on, I gotta jump over.
Then you'll be able to rotate the body to line it up where it's got to go.
Okay, then you can rotate, but you just don't, because if you don't, then you'll snap the pin or the brushes.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can just throw it away.
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta send these guys a link again. It didn't.
I don't know what I did with the clip.
The link that it sends is the one that wants you to share stuff. But if you look right underneath that in small print, it says "move on without sharing."
Oh, okay. So we
gotta go to there's a big link that says "share" on your channel, and then there's another one that says "connect without sharing" to your channel.
Okay.
It's right below.
And then you go underneath.
Small print.
Got it.
You got to click that one.
Okay, Brian. Thanks for showing that, man. Because now I got a picture of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, like I said, when you have to reclock your alternator, right? Is that what you got to do? Yeah.
Yep.
So then, once you loosen all that up, you can, change it the way you need. But you just want to make sure that you don't. You put that down so that, and then when you're done, when it's all back together and tightened up, then you just pull the pin out, and the brushes will come up and then ride back on.
Right up against the.
Back up on there.
Okay, I got it. That makes a lot of sense. Yep. Hey, Jim, how's it going? Let me get him on here. You want to go on the screen?
Well, yes, I do.
Yeah, so that gave me a clear vision now. I know what I'm looking at.
Oh, here.
So I went up from my car had a 60 amp, and I went to 100 amp.
There you go.
Because I'm probably gonna put a stereo in it and stuff.
So then of course it slid back in, and now they're down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a GM brush holder. This is what the brushes ride in, and actually, we'll do a little demonstration. I'm going to pull the pin, and boink, there goes one brush. That was the second one. Mm-hmm. So here are the springs. It's really not showing right, but the springs see now the brushes are hanging way out in the air. You got to take the brushes, push it over the spring, and it'll, like Brian did, it'll ride up and down in that channel.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get it straight.
And you said one side might have a notch.
So it'll go up and down. Actually, this side has the notch. You can see that. See the notch right there for the.
Yep.
This is going to be the back side. This side doesn't. It has a flat wall.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is you push the brush in, and then you take your piece of wire or whatever. This is just a bent piece of wire, and you kind of there it goes. Yeah. I'm not used to doing this like over my shoulders. It's kind of but this is the spring. And like I said, literally it's like the spring out of a pen.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was putting my AR-15 together the other day, and one of the springs flew. Man, I heard it hitting everything in the garage. Ding, 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 ding. I was like,
God, did you find it?
Nope. I ain't even look for it. I know I'm gonna find it.
you could put that piece of metal in it and hold. One brush is being held in now because I'm on the center.
Yeah.
See, that one isn't in. That one is. Now you put the second brush in.
Oh, so you just push it a little further for the second one.
Yep.
Got it.
Like I said, you might have to take like a small tip screwdriver or another paper clip, but you need to get the brush down off of that stator or the.
That's right.
Because it's going to be up against this.
Yeah.
So you're
you gotta
going to
have
be
room
looking
for
at
that
it from
to
the
slide
back side like this.
That's why you just use the pen.
You're right. And right, you just have to kind of get it. Once you get it to move back, you're just going to have to slide that back, then slide the one pin in, and then slide the other one.
Right. Mm-hmm. Now that's called a loaded brush holder, and you put that in, and that I used to have a 90-degree piece of metal, which is wrong. If you had a straight piece, that goes out the hole in the back of the case. And once you put the case down on the alternator, I remember telling you there's a hole in the back that's lined up with that perfectly. That's why it's there. You put the back case on the. What I like, the way we always did them.
Yeah, my back case doesn't have any. It's there's no hole.
So how do you release it, Brian? Oh,
I had to take the case off, and then this sits. See, once I took my case off the back, it's got 3 bolts on the back.
Oh, so you're going to put the stator assembly on the rotor and then put the back case over.
Right. See, on the GM one, you should have the door to open up so that you don't even need to take all this off. You should be able to spin it once you do all that.
On that version, though, that's the earlier version. Those I don't know about the newer ones, but on the early ones like Lewis has, those are the 10 or the 12 SI alternators.
Yeah, you had yeah.
Well, I bought a new alternator. So would it be the newer style, or is it?
No, you'd have to.
Okay.
They would go by the year of the car.
Okay.
See, when I do with my Pontiac, mine had a 10S. The S just stands for system, and it was the external regulator. What I want to do is run the newer for 65. I want to run one with an internal regulator that was actually off of an 85 because it was about. What is it about? I think it's 95 amps. So it's a 12 SI. SI means system integrated, means it has the regulator built in. So that's
right. And they would have on the part number, you would have like a dash 369 or 12. And that was the clock position of the alternator.
Okay, yeah. All right.
So,
yeah, that's what with the clock.
Good
yeah.
info.
Yeah, right. So that's why, like I said, when you got your alternator, sometimes they would, of course, a lot of times they wouldn't understand the 3, 6, or 9 or whatever, what that meant. And that's where the position of your plug-in for the regulator.
And that's what got us to this point, because that's what Lewis was doing. He went to put the alternator on and found out, and that's when the fellow told him that it's the wrong alternator because it didn't line up right. The clock position was wrong.
Right.
But like I was saying, what we used to do for rebuilding, because we did them, of course, you did, do like 20 or 30 at a clip. We saved the housings from Chrysler starters because they were short. It was a nice short, round metal can. And you put those on the bench and you'd invert the alternator, put the fan side down so the alternator would sit backside up. And you'd build them on that. And then you can spin it because it would spin it also. Yeah, but to do a onesie, you just got to do whatever's comfortable. You'll see, like I said, you can unbolt, you can take the nuts out of that, out of your stator. You'll also see these guys. Those 3 nuts, the 3 studs are going to go on each of these terminals. This is called a diode trio. This is the thing that turns the light on and off.
Not a triad.
We call it a diode. It's a trio, meaning there were 3. It's 3 diodes. It's for, The stator has 3 leads coming off of it because it's 3-phase.
Mhm.
What the alternator does is the electromagnetic induction. It's a 3-phase induction, which gives you an AC signal, AC sine wave. One diode protects each of the legs, is what it does. So if a leg goes bad, the diode pops, the light comes on, and you need it.
Okay.
So you need multiple. The regulator, there's a rectifier regulator. Sometimes it's a combination. What that does is takes the AC signal coming in, whacks it in half, and makes it a DC signal. That's how you get 12 volts DC coming out of it. But
Way too much going on.
The alternator actually produces an AC signal. It actually gives you AC voltage.
We're spinning stuff with magnets, and we're making AC, and then we're grabbing it on the poles, and we're turning it into DC, and we're regulating it.
You got it.
And sending it to idiot lights and the whole.
Now,
the regulator's the other thing. The regulator
almost killed them. I don't know.
The alternator will make 16, 18 volts DC, and that'll blow every light in the car. So that's when if your regulator goes bad, a lot of your lights will blow out. So the regulator's job is to take that 16, 18 unregulated voltage and knock it down to anywhere between, 10.8 to 13.3 or something like that, whatever it's calibrated for.
No, my light has generator and not alternator.
Oh, you got to get rid of that.
It says generator.
Yeah.
Same thing.
It's not a generator. It's an alternator. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just the old nomenclature. They never changed it. They didn't. They didn't silk screen. I don't think I've ever seen one that said alternator. Alt.
Mine said alt.
Yeah, the GMs always said gen.
Yeah.
They were gen.
Yeah. That's how you tell the difference between a 64.5 and a 65 Mustang. Because it actually said alternator and generator on the dash.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Before it had it going on. Okay.
Yeah. Because the early cars were generator cars.
Right.
And so that was actually that's one of those things, because if somebody said, oh, I have a 64.5, I mean, there's a handful of different ways of telling the difference between the two cars. But, like I said, a lot of times they never realized the little idiot light inside the dash saying that. So you could always say, well, why is it generator?
The cool thing about a generator is you can spin it by hand and get a voltage coming out of it. You can't do that with an alternator, but you can do it with a generator. It'll be small because generators don't really even charge at an idle. I mean, a generator car, you'll see the lights dim down at an idle, and then they got to be up at about. It depends what the threshold is of the regulator, probably around 1,500, 1,000, 1,500 RPM, and then it excites, and then you'll get,
easy, Ray. Easy. Don't get all excited, okay?
Yeah. Now, Ray,
John's taking notes.
Usable power. Yeah.
There's a quiz at the end.
There is.
So, Ray, I went up from a 60 amp to a 100 amp.
Good deal.
I'm going to add, a lot of electronic stuff in it. So,
what I would recommend then increasing the size of your battery cables and your grounds, and then regrounding
from the alternator
and overgrounding everything, because you want to maximize the path and the return path. I mean, that's one of my
pet peeves.
Yeah.
That red wire coming out of that alternator, you need to upsize it now.
Well, on a Caddy, the Camaros have that, John. The Camaros have the charging wire from the alternator goes right back to the battery. Because I worked on that guy's 68 a couple of years ago, and I remember I told him, I said, I was on the phone with him. I said, listen, when you open your hood, his ignition wires, the spark plug wires were like 9mm red wires. I said, you're gonna look at your battery wire off your alternator, and you're gonna think it's another ignition wire. I said, but it's not. I said it's a 4-gauge. I put a piece of 4-gauge battery cable on that thing. He goes, what do you do that for? I said, so you could charge up. I said, because you got a killer stereo in this thing. You got other electronics. I said, no one ever upgraded that wire, and that's the transfer of power between the alternator and the battery.
So I should go with a 4-gauge on all
I like 4. Yeah, I use 4 for a lot of my grounds and for power. If the battery's under the hood, batteries in the back, and you got to up it even more.
Yeah, I think I'm going to put a grounding post somewhere.
You need a couple of them.
I'll send you a couple of diagrams. I follow the dictum of you got to follow path. Battery usually grounds right back to the engine block. Okay, but then you want to ground the engine block. The alternator should also ground to the same point on the engine with a separate ground. I mean, people say, well, it's bolted on, so it's grounded. Yes, technically it is, but there's usually a post on the back, not a post. There'd be a threaded bung on the back of the alternator.
Mhm.
It takes a 5/16 18 short little bolt. You run another one of battery cables from that right to the ground on the block. Then the engine should also ground back to the core support. Core support should ground to the inner fenders. You go back to the trunk. The trunk floor should ground to the chassis because remember you're on rubber body bushings that isolates everything. It doesn't ground. And basically, what you're doing is you're now using the chassis and all the sheet metal as ground planes. So you won't have any fluctuation on your gauge when you turn lights on or anything. You'll be rock solid.
And when you have a lot of grounds, your cell phone won't work when you're in the car, and the government will not be able to track you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, make sure you got aluminum foil on too.
Yeah, the hat.
I'll send you some diagrams.
Go on my Facebook page. I just reposted something from like 5 or 6 years ago from Weird Al Yankovic. Tinfoil hat, the whole deal. Yeah.
Nice.
Go check it out. It's pretty funny.
Nice.
He was doing a parody on that song Royals.
Royals. I don't know that song.
Oh, take a listen. You'll know. You'll go. Oh, I've heard this song before.
Okay.
It's Weird Al.
Okay.
It was years ago. Some girl did a song called Royals.
Okay.
It was like the juxtaposition between the average Joes and the really rich royal people.
Right. Okay.
So that was what that song was about. Was some pop song, and Weird Al did his own thing with foil.
Yeah.
Hey, where do you guys get your fuel lines? Because I got the braided fuel lines, and I had that one go bad before I even drove the car.
Braided hose?
Yeah, I put braided hoses on from the front to the back, and I started
yeah.
the
I
other
use-
day.
Aeroquip, Earls.
Right.
There's a bunch of companies out there that sell stuff. Go to Summit. They got a.
What do you mean
bunch
it went
different-
bad? What do you mean it went bad? It was leaking?
It sprung a leak. I had a pinhole, and it's
I mean,
shooting straight up.
Yeah.
It is just, you know what? It is just a neoprene hose with a braided, sheathing over it.
Yeah,
So
Buna N is one type of aircraft type hose that's pretty good, but with all the junk that's in the fuel today, they're all recommending that you go over to the one that has the what is it, Teflon tubing.
The Teflon,
inside.
yeah.
there's, man, this is going to be an informative show. Lewis, I'm going to make notes.
I had a gas station that changed one of his pumps to ethanol free.
Nice.
And that's kind of rare around here.
Now, that's
See, Wawa sells ethanol free.
Yeah.
Now, is that better for the older cars?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Much better.
But what happens, even the really good steel braided hose, after a couple of years, that inner liner hardens and it can crack. It can get pinholes.
Yeah.
Hose. It's real expensive. That stuff, steel braided hose, is very expensive, but it's a throwaway item after a couple of years.
I just do plastic.
Yeah, Lewis, the hose that you want for fuel, and what you should do is run aluminum. I mean, I ran 3/8 aluminum line in my car.
Yeah, you can do that. You can run hard line.
I mean, I only have 6 inches of fuel hose in the car, and that's from the tank up to the line, and then from the or from the front line into my filter, into the carburetors. That's it. But the hose you want to run is made by Gates. It's called Gates Barricade. Now, again, I'll send you some info on it.
Okay.
It's an ethanol-resistant fuel, and they make 2 versions. They make the version where the hose is in the open air, like under the hood or under the car, and they make another version if the hose is submerged, like if it's in a gas tank with an electric pump. So it's in the and that stuff's expensive. I had to put some on my BMW on the motorcycle, and again, I needed 6 inches, but I had to buy like I think a foot. It was like $16 a foot, and that was at my cost. I was like, oh, "Are you kidding me? Would I break something?"
Oh yeah.
So
Wait do you want to do like now everybody uses that nylon braid instead of the steel braid stuff, the stainless steel braid, because it's lighter.
Yeah.
But wait, you got to go buy like a piece of -20 radiator hose.
Oh yeah, right.
It's like $20 a foot.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to my fuel line kit.
Now, it's the line that goes from. I put a electric fuel pump on it, so that's probably right at the back of the door on the frame.
It should be as close to the gas tank as you could get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your
So
fuel pump should be as close to the tank as possible.
yeah, it's pretty.
Fuel pumps like to be gravity fed, and they push.
Right.
It's pretty close.
External fuel pumps hate to suck the fuel out of the tank.
Right.
Yeah, it's hard on them.
Right.
She gets tired when she sucks that long.
Right. makes them run hot.
Yeah. So
Tough
I need about 4.5 feet, I think,
You should use as little hose as possible.
from the tank to the fuel pump.
Anywhere. The least amount of hose as possible, because it's the least chance you're going to have of a failure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might redo the whole thing because.
And thank God some of us guys got little hoses.
I don't have that problem.
Sounds like a freaking radio show.
Yeah, see, like on a car like yours, you'd be better off doing as much hard line as you can.
Right.
You
Okay.
know, if you want to
I'm gonna redo it.
if you want to
even
be
from the
show
pump.
drag racer, then you're going to use flexible braided stuff.
You have the hard line on the
Spend $1 million
chassis anyway. So if you move the pump as close to that as you can, you're going to have a little piece of hose to connect it, unless you're going to flare the end and use a fitting, which I'm not saying I wouldn't do that, because I would. That's exactly what I would do. And then you can run another piece of line from the pump over to the tank, and you're going to need a piece of hose to go from that line to the pickup on the tank. That's not a threaded fitting. But like I said, on my car, that's the only, that and in the front, it's the only two little short pieces of hoses that exist.
Are you using a stock tank?
Yeah, stock tank.
You can
and I put.
you can mount your electric fuel pump right in front of the tank, because that's normally where the sending unit and the lines are.
Mhm.
Well,
There's plenty of room up in that well there to put a fuel pump right there.
your sending unit may be accessed on top of the tank, Lewis, right?
Yeah.
Most of them are.
It
Yeah.
is.
Well, yeah, like on my car, the older ones, it's in the back wall. It's actually
Back wall, yeah.
the back.
Mine's on top.
Then they change
So,
it.
Or
yeah.
you may want to go for a little bit of money and get an in tank pump setup.
They make the
Just drop
conversion.
in.
Yeah.
And you can they sell a pump that's for fuel injection. They sell pumps that are for carbureted cars.
Yeah.
And then now you're just hooking up a hose, just like the factory did, right to that whole thing, and run that line, convert it over to hard line.
And you won't hear
Some
that
nice
fuel pump
stainless
running.
steel. Yeah. And
And
it
the
keeps
pumps-
the pump cool.
Well, then the pumps that you run in the tank, that's where you need that barricade, the submersible hose. But they usually give it to you with the pump. They're just short little sections. It's like two little 3-inch sections. But yeah, that's a little bit of money for the inline. Those in tank pumps aren't cheap.
Nope, not at all.
And I wouldn't buy a cheap one, because if you got to change it, you're taking the tank down. So that's no fun.
Well, I was thinking about
don't
putting
buy
the
a
access
China
door.
In the trunk, yeah.
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 That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that.
It's not a bad idea. That's almost like cursing yourself. Then again, on the other hand, by doing it, you're probably saying, this thing's never going to fail. I'm never going to need it because I did it.
Yep.
That's how it works with me.
Could be.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna run the new lines because the only reason I did the braided lines because it looks good. I'm
Till
trying
it
to.
fails.
Yeah, I was pissed, dude. I'm looking through the hood and I see it shooting straight up.
I would rather do, like I said, I did the aluminum. I bought a 25-foot roll from Summit. It was not a lot of money.
Yeah,
it was 3/8.
Yeah,
aluminum.
Do it out of aluminum. You can get this malleable steel.
Yeah,
which is a little stiffer, but it's very easy to bend with those little hand benders.
Yeah.
Do that. Or I don't know if somebody makes it. Maybe does somebody make a restoration hard line?
They probably
fuel
do.
line?
Let me see. I want to say
because if you're using a stock tank and you're not modifying the chassis or any of that stuff, if somebody makes restoration hard lines, then it bolts right up. It'll have the place to put all the little loops to catch it. That's the easiest way to go. Then it's a short little hose.
Yeah, but I added the fuel pump though.
The other thing you have to put into it. Well, the other thing is you're going to be changing the engine.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's probably a 5/16 line. You're going to want to have a 3/8 line.
Yeah, you need some volume.
Yeah, you want the 3/8 line. I just
That's
saw
what I put on at 3/8.
Kinsler is selling. The guy that does all the blower stuff. They're selling like -20 AN stuff. I got a copy of Nitro Madness magazine yesterday. I'm like, where'd this come from? Billy Lynch sent it to me because they did a feature on him and his brother and stuff and his dragster. So I was leafing through it. A lot of cool stuff.
We use -20 stuff. That's what we use for the radiator.
Yeah.
16,
You might
18,
even
and
get
20.
lucky. Might even get lucky at one of your swap meets or flea market things. I bought a shoebox full of adapters and connectors for practically like $25 for a whole shoebox full of adapters.
All right, but here's the $64,000 question.
Yeah.
Do you know where it is?
Yep.
Oh shit! I guess I used $64,000.
Yeah. Well, it will take me a while to dig it out, but it's in my little toolbox, my Kennedy toolbox roll around that I keep all my carburetor parts and tools in.
Oh, that's very organized of you. Very nice.
I try.
That's good. That's good.
So.
Okay, so once I get my fuel lines back up in order, I'm going to be asking you guys about the carburetor because remember I was telling you how it idles, but as soon as you hit the gas, it drops.
Right.
That means you got a hole. That means your accelerator pump's not doing its job.
Yeah, see, I just had the carburetor all rebuilt. Yeah. So that should have been fixed with that, right?
That could just be an adjustment.
Yeah.
Okay. Down to the middle of that.
But how long ago was this, Lewis? Because, I don't want to
rain on your parade.
Well, I don't want to go on it, but man, this ethanol is terrible for the stuff. And when you let the stuff sit around, dude, it's just you're chasing issues with the ethanol. I was never that big of a deal about ethanol until I had a weed whacker when I was at the landscape company. When I used to work at a landscape company when I was in high school. And I had one of these weed whackers that literally would cut down a tree. You know what I'm saying? And it was huge, and it had it was just the bomb. You know what I'm saying? I felt like James Bond. I could fly off with this thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it was just one hell of a weed whacker. And I used that. They gave it to me when I left. And I had that thing for 20-some years, never had a problem until they put ethanol in the gas. And I didn't know this at the time. And like the first winter afterwards, the thing didn't start. And I had to take it apart, and I cleaned it out. I couldn't figure out why. And, of course, it used it. And then the next winter, the thing wouldn't come apart. I went to take it, and the carburetor literally just disintegrated from the inside out. And I was like, man, what happened? And of course I couldn't find it because it was so old. And then you fast forward about 8 years when I bought my John Deere, my riding lawnmower, and we're doing the paperwork. I'm signing everything. We're going down, and the guy goes, "This is a disclaimer for the warranty." He says, "If you bring the John Deere in for warranty work, we will test the fuel. And if it has ethanol in it, it voids the warranty."
Wow.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Well, it's very bad for small engines. And, we recommend our stabilizer." And that's why, like I said, that Stable 360 is with ethanol stuff is probably the best thing to run or keeping those in the older stuff.
Well, 360, if I can interject, 360 is only good if you have a sealed fuel system.
Yes, true.
Because it works in the airspace above the gas.
Right.
So if I put my Pontiac, that will all come out the vent that's in the filler tube.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. No, but I'm just saying in general, you just want to make sure, because not all stabilizer has the ethanol. It doesn't have. Correct. You got to make sure it's got ethanol killer. And I know you have your StarTron stuff.
This stuff is.
Yep. And so. Instead of spending the $28.95 for the small John Deere bottle, but that's what they recommend for the John Deere. But again, until that time, and then it clicked in my head, oh, now I know why my favorite weed whacker blew up, because it had that ethanol. And this ethanol, they're actually trying to increase the ethanol from 10% to 15%.
They were trying to go 20 at one.
Yeah. Well, they went to their 20 and they're back down to 15% now.
And let me ask you this.
The car manufacturers had enough of a lobby; they were actually able to knock it down. So they said they knew that our cars will not run on that.
Yeah,
the new cars. So they actually had the right amount of juice. But
now listen to this: my motorcycle was running fine, and I knew I was low on gas, so I took some gas out of a can, put it in the bike, drove it to work. On the way home, it was not puttering, but it lost power.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if that's from the gas out of the can.
I'd say. You know, I was just talking to my new buddy Tom, who has that C3 Corvette. I was telling you guys about that big block, the 427 car, and I've been helping him fix these carburetors on his quads. He's got a place down in South Carolina, so he calls me yesterday, and I was telling him how important gas is, and I said, you know, how old's the gas that you're using in this thing? I had it around a while. I said, you know, ethanol lasts a couple of months, and then it's flat. And I told him, I said, I did an experiment. I was using the lawnmower one year, and you know, I had some older gas. It was running, but it was running okay. And then I went and I got a fresh 2 gallons of gas, but I got high test, and I put high test in the stupid lawnmower, and the freaking thing ran like a raped ape. So I said, then I did it with all the small engines that I have that are gas powered: the snowblower, the chainsaw, my blower, my backpack blower. Put high test in them, and they ran better. And I said, you know what? For the extra couple cents a gallon, throw high test in that little quad and see what it does.
So I'm going to try that tomorrow.
High test.
Yeah,
I'm gonna drain all the gas out and see. I bet you there's that gas in the can. Mess me up.
Yeah, because the average life now for gasoline is less than 30 days.
Yeah, not much at all, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
So, and now you compound that by the fact that, like, you know, we all have multiple cars, motorcycles, yard equipment. I mean, you know, you can't keep it all fresh all the time. It's just impossible.
Right.
Impossible.
I use that stuff called fuel.
I haven't seen that.
They sell it at like Lowe's and Home Depot.
Oh, it's like a gallon of pre-made fuel.
Yeah, you can get 5 gallons now too.
Okay.
It's not gasoline. Basically, it's race gas.
Yeah, I've heard about that stuff.
Yeah.
So you just mix it in with your full tank, or
just run it on it.
I run right on it. Yeah,
it's kind of like
all
camping.
my whatever, like my my chainsaw and any other equipment that I have, and I mix it in with the fuel that I keep in my generator.
Yeah. No, you're right, Brian. That's nice because you can take a brand new can of that and carry it. You know, put it in your car and take it with you. It's safe because it's sealed, so you can take it if you're going camping or to a summer house or something.
Yeah.
Or to
it's camping fuel. Coleman
it's
camping
not like
fuel.
Gasoline. It's different.
Yeah, you could carry. That's why, like in the tool truck or all my diesels, I always have 2 gallons of ATF that I carry, and that way, if I ever run out of fuel, it'll burn on the ATF.
Right.
Really?
And that way, that's the fastest way to start a diesel with ATF. It's a low it's a low flash point, and it also compresses, and you can. It's not flammable, so like I said, you don't have to worry about sloshing diesel around in the truck or whatever, and you can carry. And that way you can get it started. It's ATF. I just buy a gallon jug of ATF and carry that around. That's what my emergency fuel for.
Nice. I didn't know that.
That's what I'm gonna do with the bus.
Yeah. If you ever like when you change a fuel filter, you can when you take your fuel filter down, you can fill that up with your ATF and put that on, so that way you don't have a dead spot or when you're cranking, it'll fire up because it'll start with the fuel that's in there, and you have a very limited amount of sucking of air, because if you have too much air, the diesel ain't going to start, and it's a motherfucker to get the thing going again.
Yeah, I know.
You'll burn up most people burn up a starter or fry a ring gear on the flywheel, cranking it too much. But you can do ATF will be your fastest way to start a diesel, especially in the cold.
Starting fluid.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. You can do it, but it's not very. That's not very good for a diesel.
No,
That's not very good.
it makes such a bad noise.
One of my trucks had that fast system on it.
Well, that's on the glow plugs. You're talking about?
No, it ran into the fuel system. It's you had a thing on the dash. You pump it up before you start it, and when it's cold, and it would give you a boost.
Yeah, you're just priming the system on that. Yeah,
I've seen that like on some videos. You know, the guy's working on like a big Caterpillar or something.
Yeah,
and he's got the hood tilted up, and he goes over to the motor and he's got some little plunger and he's going.
Well, that's on the.
Yeah, that's when you
pump.
Yeah, when you like I said, when you drain the fuel filter or whatever, like my truck's got the same thing. So when you do the fuel filter on it, it's got a place to prime because you want to because most people will just say, "Oh, just crank it till it starts." And like I said, once you start sucking air, you got problems, and sometimes it's like I said, you'll burn up a starter or ring gear pretty quick, and you got to be careful. But like I said, and if you're ever in desperate need, don't ask me how I know this, but you can always walk into a grocery store and get cooking oil and get the truck back started and get home. It smells like a French fry, but man, I was in a bad part of the neighborhood one time, and I ran out of fuel, and that lady at the Oriental shop looked at me like I was a little crazy walking out with 4 jugs of cooking oil. But
we make nice fried wontons.
But we got the elephant home. So
when people started doing the biodiesel, I was thinking about changing over one of my trucks to do that, but.
We had a guy. Oh shit! I almost remember his name. We had a guy that Chris knew. This is going back to I think 05 or 06. I think he worked with him at the job that he had, and the guy had converted a Mercedes because any diesel will do. Mm-hmm. And he talked to him. He says, "You got to come do the show," and he did. And I got pictures of it on this hard drive somewhere. He showed us. He opens the trunk. And he had this big vat that he poured all the oil into. He had this big filter, a big sock filter. He poured through the sock filter to catch all the particulate. And he said he said the Chinese food places were the best. It was the best oil to get. It was the least dirty. But he said like anything from a fast food place with the French fries was always, there was a lot of potato that was in there. Yeah. And he put a separate gauge on the dash. And I said to him, he used the fuel gauge, but I said to him, see, I'd be the guy where I'd go that extra. I'd have to do it. I'd have to take that gauge apart and take the icon of the gas pump off and put a chicken in there. And he showed us how the whole process of putting it on. He starts the thing on diesel and then switches it over to the oil, and it was like it just had like a little bit of a blip, and then boom, it was running on the oil.
I started looking into it, man. I was gonna build a steel and everything to clean it and have it all ready at the house.
I mean, diesel's really amazing. I mean, it'll burn. Like I said, I mean, if you could use animal fat to do that to run a diesel, and the only thing is that usually you just gotta watch the
filters.
No, not the filter part, but the consistency of the material. Like on animal fat, you have to heat it for it to burn. You have to liquefy it and so forth. So, you could take, like I said, if you have a generator, a diesel generator, and let's say that this is in the next couple of years when we're all bunkered down and we're walking around protecting our property, and you have a diesel generator because you can't rely on their local government and federal government to supply energy for you. And if you have animal fat, as long as it's running, you can hook the bottle or the bucket to the exhaust to heat the animal fat so that you can burn that. But it's one of those things. If you ever watch the classic Charlton Heston movie Omega Man,
I was just watching last night.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah.
About killing zombies and watching out and keeping things running. Those are reasons why. And you could, like I said, a diesel. I would not ever throw away a diesel, because at least I know that there's a dozen different things out there that I know that I can start the car and run. Again, ATF is great for it. You don't want to continue to run on it because the cleaners inside the ATF will be really harsh and hard on the injectors. It is good to clean them out, but you don't want to you don't want 44 gallons of ATF in your tank and just run consistency on that.
You're right. Then again, if you think of it, there's a lot of guys I know who use diesel in their parts washers because it was a cleaning agent.
Yeah,
it's very popular and low flash point.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing. That's just like kerosene. If you ever, you probably know this too, Lewis, driving a truck. If you ever saw premium or A1 diesel type thing, all that is basically a form of kerosene. It's just refined diesel threaded out. Now, like my dad used to run kerosene in his diesels. During the wintertime, he would put 5 gallons of kerosene in with regular diesel, so it wouldn't gel up, and the cold point. And you change that. It's kind of like an antifreeze to say in the fuel that way. But, as much as, people joke or say, I'll never have a diesel, dude, I would I would at least to make sure I still have one of them, because at the end of the world, I know I can find something that will burn, you know what I'm saying, and move.
So, Brian, let me ask you this. I see it at the auto parts store. They sell a diesel fuel conditioner that's made to stop the fuel from gelling in the winter. What do they sell? Like just jars of kerosene?
It's basically.
Yeah. It's got nice packaging, and you can't see it. It's the label covers the whole.
Yeah, it's very similar to that, and like I said, kerosene is just the quicker version of that, I guess.
All right.
And like I said, because the actual gelling of the diesel is the oil product waxing up. So that's what causes it, and that's usually you get a little bit of condensation, and then you have cold weather, or when it gets cold, it diesel flows so slow. It's so thick, and that's why like ATF. If you mix it with ATF or mix it with kerosene, it moves faster. It doesn't slow down, and it takes a longer cold. But once that get in, that's that waxy. You'll take a fuel filter out, and it almost will be hard plastic.
Wow.
Where that gelled up. I use the word gel up, but it's just the waxing of the oil from the cold.
Do they put heaters in fuel tanks?
No.
They do use external heaters, because I know
they do use external. It's in the block.
My buddy at the shop wanted me to. He bought something to wire in. There was the block heater, but because he was parking one flatbed up at the railroad station, it wasn't by the shop, so he couldn't plug it in. And I never ended. He gave me the paperwork. I was going to do the job, and I never ended up doing it for one reason or another. I don't remember what it was, but it was some sort of a heater. I think it was a fuel heater.
Yeah, they wrap. Sometimes they'll wrap like it's like you'll see it like electrical plug. Or, I mean, a wire that they wrap around in the house to keep pipes from freezing. Well, they have something very similar, and you can plug it into your cigarette lighter, and that keeps the line from freezing.
Probably what it was, yeah.
But usually, the like a block heater, when you have that plugged in and that heats up, and it's at whatever it is,
40 degrees somewhere.
Whatever your temperature is, if it's 87 degrees or whatever, that all transfers back or goes through. That's why, and of course, let's just like once you get a diesel started, it's hard to turn them off once they start sucking that fuel. So you're okay.
Well, then the other thing with the diesels is they all have a return line to the tank.
Yeah.
So once they're running, you're pushing hot diesel fluid back to the tank.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it takes. I had one time we were up in the mountains over here, and we had to take the electric frying pan, and we slid it underneath the truck to heat up the oil pan. So
nice.
Like I said, people look and said, "You'll never get that started. We'll be back in spring." And like I said, if you just know the basics, you can get
it going. I had one time I forgot to plug up my truck, so I took a space heater, or not a space heater, one of those torpedo heaters.
Yep.
And I put plastic on the other side, like tarps, and I fired it under the truck until it warmed up in there to get it started.
That's exactly what I was going to say. What we did, we went to, it was in the late 70s. We went to Sugarbush, Vermont to go skiing. Me and the guys, and I had my diesel Blazer, and it got to like 40 below.
Oh boy!
And I wasn't near where I could plug in, and I went to go start that thing, and it went. I went to the desk, and the guy goes, I don't have a problem. He called. They got like a service guy there, and he came out with a space heater, a bullet heater. And he fired that thing up. It was gas powered and had, I don't know, a heating element on it, so it didn't need electricity to run. He just put it at the front of the truck, and it just blew hot air underneath the truck. He goes, "Go back to your room or go have breakfast or whatever." He says, "Come back in like a half an hour." He goes, "It'll fire right up."
Nice.
So,
yeah, it works.
That was cool. Yeah. I was like, wow.
So I gotta get back in the groove. It's been 15 years since 15 years since I had my semis and stuff. So I got to get back in the groove on this bus.
Yeah, you will. It'll come back to you.
Got to get all my tricks and stuff back out.
Right.
I was at my buddy's house today, and I was like, man, I gave away my bottle jack and all my breaker bars, so I got to get all that stuff again.
Wow.
Big sockets for the lugs.
Yeah.
All big stuff. All big stuff on a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'd be my next mission to get that stuff.
So what's the car that got away? Considering
mine was a 79 Cutlass.
Ooh.
Nice.
And I had T-tops in it, and it was my competition car. Used it for stereo competition, and man, I missed that car bad. It's one of those things, you know what I mean? But I had probably 6 Cutlass. I had 72, 73, 79, 77, 80, 82.
Did it have one of those floating Landau vinyl tops?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody had that.
Right?
I put a picture of it on the
Those
thing.
are cool.
Oh, that was your car?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's good.
Heck yeah, that's cool.
And I seen one the other day, the same color with the half vinyl, but it didn't have T's. I thought it was my car. I was like, oh, look at my old car. But it wasn't it. I was like, oh. You think too, I sold that car probably 89. So my thoughts is it's probably been junked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when I seen that car the other day, I was like, there it is.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky because mine that got away, I wound up finding.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't have a dog in that hunt.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had a what was it? '72 or '71 Eldorado, and I wish I had that car back too.
Those are cool. Big car.
Yeah, it is a boat, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I had that in high school, and I'll tell you, I have 20 people in the car with me, and we'd just be floating.
Style.
Oh yeah.
I had
Gotta love those big boats.
my mom's '72 sedan DeVille.
Yeah, that's a big car.
Blue. It was that really nice, like icy blue color.
Oh yeah.
And it had that blue interior that looked like it looked like that paisley shirts they used to wear in the '70s.
Yes.
It looked like the upholstery. It looked like it had amoebas on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was like it was blue, but it also had threads in it that were shiny.
Shiny,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? Yeah. That was a real, and it had a white. It was weird. It was steel. It looked like a convertible top, but it was actually steel.
Ah.
It was I don't know how they did
Oh,
that.
it was that stainless?
Was it stainless steel?
No, it was white.
The brushed it was brushed aluminum.
It was actually white.
If it was
was
stainless,
white.
it would be a Barrett's, and they didn't
Yeah.
come in 4-door.
It was.
Until later.
It looked like a vinyl top or kind of like a convertible top. But when you ran your fingers over it, it was dimpled steel.
Yeah.
It was like a clamshell that Caddy put on top of it, and the thing floated. In other words, it had molding on the edges. It did not come all the way down to the roof drip molding. It floated
I know
above
what that looks like. Yeah.
You know, that was a cool car.
I had a 65
'71 Coupe de Ville.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I bought right in the middle of a gas crisis. Gas was like ridiculous price.
Probably got it cheap, right?
This thing is like hell. I'll take it.
We had some cool cars. My dad used to buy some cool cars, and for him and my mom, and then I would wind up getting them. He had a '62 Lincoln with the suicide doors.
Yeah.
I drove that for a little while. He had a '73 Buick Electra 225.
Oh yeah, decent quarter.
That was a beast. Yeah, that was a beast.
My buddy and I picked one of those up in high school.
'72 Cadillac. My mom for a while had a '66 Ventura.
Oh yeah.
In silver with a black vinyl interior, stacked headlights, 389. What a great car that was.
Yeah, big car.
I blew the rear end out of that car.
Yeah.
I was trying to be a a hot rod tough guy in front of the girls.
Yeah.
I did a neutral drop in front of the high school. Dropped the drive shaft out, and busted the pinion off.
So apparently you didn't get a date.
My father was like, "How the hell did you do that?"
Oh.
I said, "I don't know. I put it into drive and I pressed the gas and it just exploded."
Those deuce and a quarters are cool, man.
Yeah.
We had one buddy of mine picked one up in high school. You know, it was a junker, but we put insurance and plates on it for like a month and just drove the thing around full of Bondo. Someone had put like 49 caddy fins on the back of it. It was hideous, but one of the most fun cars we ever had.
Yeah,
Every corner, you just one wheel.
Wasn't it like back in the '80s when Nunzi started building deuce and a quarters?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, those things.
I remember doing that.
Fast.
Yeah.
Nunzi
he got involved in some weird
He was
stuff.
a big Pontiac guy.
Yeah, but he got involved in some crazy stuff for a little while.
He got involved with the Buicks, the 220 deuce and a quarters, and man, guys were taking these on a track and killing everybody with them.
I'll call him and ask him if you want, because I'll do to get him back on the show.
Oh man, really?
Ask him about the Buicks.
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to him in quite a while.
You know, when I was building
awesome.
my motor, I had a private phone conversation with him, and I actually recorded it just because of his vocal pattern. You know, you gotta hear this. It's so
right?
funny.
Oh,
I mean,
he still to this day still sounds like he just came off the boat.
I know, and we were talking about camshafts, so I was throwing some different cam profiles by him. And he says, "What a cam did you have in a motor before?" And I said, "Well, I had the Nunzi's cam." I said it was like an 041 grind, but he goes, "Oh, that's a sweet cam." He goes, anything else you put in the car is going to go backwards. He goes, you can't put nothing else. I'm like, okay, all right. He was a great guy.
The best when he would come to the shop when we were rebuilding his race car. When he had somebody was driving his Trans Am for him, and they crashed it at Englishtown. Oh. And he brought the car to us, and we put it up on the chassis table. Basically, put a whole front half on it, and then did a lot of modifications. And we had that car for about 3 months or so, 3 or 4 months. And he would come out every couple of days. He'd call up, Johnny, how am I going to come out after work tonight? You going to be there? Yeah. Right. No problem. And he would always bring this fresh Italian bread, but he would get the kind that was like a round loaf.
Yeah, the ring.
Right? Yeah. And he would bring cheese.
Yeah.
Like provolone or some other type of hard cheese. And he made his own wine behind his shop. He had grapevines.
Yep.
And he would crush his own grapes and make his own wine and keep it in the basement. And he would bring out a bottle of Nunzi's wine.
Yeah.
And he would come out, and the shop was closed by the time he would come out from Brooklyn. It's a long ride.
Yeah.
And we'd sit down in the office, and he would reach in his pocket. And he'd pull out this knife. Start slicing up that cheese. And then he'd pour the wine, and he would talk about the old days and how racing used to be. And he had this phrase, people would, like today, somebody drag racing, they'd say, oh, yeah, tried to get the car out of the hole from the start. He would always say, from the giddy up.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
When Frank Dominiani from High Speed Automotive was alive, I used to go hang out there a lot on Merrick Road. And I remember walking up there one day in the summer, and he was down the driveway, had a little round table with a Chianti umbrella, the red, white, and green Chianti umbrella, and he's sitting there. Yeah. So he calls me back. I go back, and he's got a big block of cheese. He's got his big buck knife, and he's peeling off cheese. He's got a thing of provolone. That was provolone. He had some salami, hard salami. Yeah. I swear, it was like we were in Palermo, Italy. And the same thing. He would just start talking about the old days and racing. Those guys are the best. But his son, I'm still in contact with his son, who just contacted me this week and said, hey, how'd you like to have one of Dad's old racing buddies on the show? I'm like, all right. Guy's like in his 80s. I got to call him tomorrow. The guy's name, I forget his first name, Greg. It's Wedison. And he used to drive back in the 50s, 60s, into the early 70s. In all the competition classes. He's the guy that owned Wetson's hamburger chain.
Oh,
wow.
That's the guy.
Yeah.
So he says, yeah, he's still around. I think he still lives in Brooklyn. He goes, and if you want to, he goes, if you want. So he contacted him and said, would you like to do it? He goes, oh, yeah, tell him to call me. So he gave me his phone number. I got to give him a call.
We used to go to Wetson's all the time in Comac.
Yeah, we used to go to Wetson Valley Stream. We had Wetson's. But so who knew that? I didn't know that was the name from the chain. I didn't know that. So
that's pretty cool. I love history. Anything to do like that kind of stuff is just great.
So I'm gonna see if I can get him on the show on Sunday. I'm gonna see if I can put that together. We'll see.
You should see is there anybody still alive from Munn's Root Beer?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah.
That was a big thing.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I don't know. That was more like. West Coast, yeah.
Speaking of West Coast, did you see the post made by In-N-Out Burger?
I did see something by In-N-Out, yeah.
Basically, they told Biden you could take your mandate and stick it where the sun
right.
shines.
I know. I saw someone just getting paid from In-N-Out, yeah.
Yeah. More companies need to do that.
Yeah.
You're going to tell your customers that, oh, sorry, I can't sell you a hamburger because you don't have a vaccination card?
Right.
I don't live in communist China.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey guys, I got to jump off early tonight.
It's about time. It's after 10.
Yeah. I'm getting old, man. I need to get to bed.
So rest that wrist.
Yeah. So hey, if I blow up my alternator,
how old are you?
52.
You ain't old.
You got time.
If you're falling apart now,
yeah, you got time.
I know. That's why I'm retiring early.
Come on,
Good
man. I'm
idea.
60. I'm
I didn't realize I
63.
was an old guy. Come on,
I'm
Lou.
63 messing with this
52?
stuff. 52.
Listen.
Oh, wow.
In 3 years, I'm retiring because I'm already hurting. So,
Good,
hey,
good,
Yeah, well, good for you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
man, that'd be awesome.
excellent.
I might go back to stripping. I don't know yet.
Yeah,
I tried to do it at 55. I got 5, but I couldn't do it, so I got 5 more. I'll do it at 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
what
yeah,
day you
trouble with
heading
this,
out
give me a
to
buzz.
Vegas?
I'm not going.
Oh, you're not going to go.
You know, some of my clients.
Man, I thought you were going.
I was. Listen, some
I
of my
told
clients.
Barb, because Barb's, she's trying to entertain us the whole time we're there. She's livid because this year all of the entertainers decided I ain't hanging around come SEMA time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Carlos Santana wanted to go see Santana in concert.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
I'm leaving Friday. He's playing Friday.
Yeah, man.
That'd
Jeez.
have been a good show.
There's not a lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
huh.
She went looking around and like the show. There's no football game. There's no hockey game.
Wow.
I mean, I'm like, you got to be kidding me here.
Can you catch
So I'm
John?
like, well, I said, don't worry about it. Just find a couple of things to do. My high school buddy Alan, he's coming in from California. He played lead guitar in my high school band. He's gonna come out, hang out for a couple of days. I said, Lewis is gonna take us to a party of some of these TV people. I go, we'll have something to do.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you mean? I go, Lewis, he's the press guy, and he's going to get us in with some of these people that have TV shows. They have these big catered parties. I said, well, hobnobbing with all of these famous TV people. She goes, oh, that'll be pretty cool. So now you're not going. She'll be like, you're useless.
Yeah, right.
maybe you get to catch Don Ho in the green room or something.
Well, we saw Don Ho. I went to. No, swear to God, I went to Hawaii in '79, and I actually saw Don Ho.
See you, man.
All right, see you later.
I actually saw Don Ho in Hawaii.
Cool.
And he was singing that song, Melly Melly Hee Hee Hee.
Yeah.
It was the Christmas song. He was singing the Christmas song. I was like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Right.
Yeah. I was out there right around Christmas time.
That's cool.
At least I got to see the guy.
Yeah, right.
He's not alive anymore, right? He can't be alive. He's old then.
I don't know.
I don't think he's alive.
Catch Wayne Newton in the pink room.
Is Don Ho still alive?
Hell no. Ho don't go.
He died in 2007.
7. Wow.
Oh, wow. Man. Was born in 1930. Oh, wow. Born on the same day as me, August 13.
Really? Look at that.
I share a birthday with Don Ho.
Well, you shared the birthday.
Well, yeah. That's cool. I didn't know that. See, you learn something every day.
That's wild, yeah.
You do.
Don Ho.
So, Brian, I got a wrench question for you. Because it popped up again in my feed today, the Matco feed. The flex ratcheting wrenches that are like the buy one, you buy the metric, you get the Americans.
Uh-huh.
Are they reversible? Or do you have to turn the wrench around?
Well, which flyer was it in? Do you know? Was it on, or is it an online thing?
No, well, I got the thing. I saw it on Instagram, and it was. I know it's page 11. I remember that it was page 11 because that's what I was doing. I went to the digital. I looked it up online. I had the part number written down. It's like so freaking long. It's like SWMF 300. I don't know. Goddamn part numbers.
Well, I don't know. I would have to see the part number. It was probably not reversible because the picture would show a little reversible lever on it.
I didn't see that. And the other question I had was, and this is what bothers me about ratcheting wrenches. I was just watching a video. There's a guy I watch who's a Toyota tech. And he does all basically Toyota-based videos. But he was showing like what tools you would need to buy if you're going to work, primarily on Toyotas.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he does. But he goes, when you go into the shop, he goes, if you pull the top drawer of anybody's toolbox out, he goes, the one that's got the biggest and most amount of stuff in it, he goes, that's the apprentice. That's probably the guy who's doing oil changes. But he bought all the most expensive tools. He bought all the Snap-on and the Matco and the Mac, because then he's doing oil changes. He says, you don't need a lot of tools. It's that whole thing of like, it's not the instrument, it's the person playing it. He says, you can do more with less tools if you know what to do.
Adjustable wrench works out on everything.
Well, yes, they did a big video. But the thing that I noticed, the thing that caught my eye, and I disagreed with him on one thing. Looking at ratcheting wrenches, I've used different ones, and I happen to like. He was down on the Snap-on ones. He said they were just too expensive, down on them, and I was using my buddies at the shop, and I found them to be superior because the ratcheting head, was not as wide as he had those, and he had gear wrench.
Yeah,
it was definitely narrower to get into tighter spaces than the gear wrench. And the Matco ones look to me to be a little bit wide. And I just...
It depends on which ones that you get. Because, and unfortunately, I don't... my box of ratcheting wrenches is on the other side of the garage.
That ring around the wrench have the size of that have something to do with the wrench's torque rating?
That's a good question.
I don't have some different ones here to show, but
well, God damn it, you should be in the truck.
I know. The one night that I was almost in the truck. I was but I came in.
Hey guys, I'm gonna bail. I gotta get up early too.
Okay, Jim, take it easy.
Good night, guys.
But it really comes down on the manufacturer of the wrench, and we have a 7 series and a 9 series on our ratcheting wrenches, and they are a little bit different in how they're made.
8.4 ones myself.
Yeah, well, we have a few people. We have a few people like you, John, and we just smile and say, "How much are you going to pay today?" So,
you want to find something on these damn social media sites, you can never find it.
Yeah,
I still get very confused on Instagram.
That's what I'm doing now. I went to my Matco tab, but like I'm looking and it's not. I'm not seeing the posts that I saw. Wait, maybe on the tech deals.
I get lost on there. I guess I have to learn to use it more.
Matco tools fly off you the best tool deals. This is not what I saw. There's a lot little cars. Oh, this has got to be the best, Brian. When I saw this.
Yeah.
I said, that's the new Matco mug with the wrench.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw that, I said, I got to get one of those.
Yeah, man.
That's a nice looking one. But where the frick are those wrenches?
Hey, did you start following my little friend Liv?
Yes, I did. She's rebuilding a Holley carburetor today, a 4150. Yeah.
She does some cool stuff.
Yeah.
She's a scavenger. Her and her boyfriend, they go out in the junkyards and they pull LS motors out of trucks and stuff.
Right.
She's crazy.
Yeah, you see on this page.
But see, I get laughed at when somebody comes by and they're watching me work on if I'm working on something, because I still have the original ratcheting wrenches.
Yeah.
And these things are old. I mean,
oh yeah, I got a couple like that. A couple of Snap-ons like that.
I have a couple of those.
This is the original ratcheting wrench compared to, like this time.
Right. No, I have a couple of those.
They all look at me and they say, "What the hell is that?" And I said, "This is what a ratcheting wrench was." And the only reason why I still use them even though I try not to push the issue, it's actually a 6-point.
Oh yeah. I got a couple
instead of them being 12 points.
Sure.
Yeah.
I have a couple of those, but they're not angled headed. They're flat.
Yeah, I've got some straight ones too.
Yeah, that's
I
what mine
hardly
are.
ever use
Same.
them because they have such large spaces between the teeth
Yeah.
that it's like a half a turn every time you go to ratchet.
These here, this one here, these dog bones, they don't even have the switch over. You had to flip the ratchet.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're the same ones because I have a couple of older Snap-ons that are exactly like that.
Yeah, well, of course, these are Mako ones, but
Right. I wonder if they were made by the same company.
The reason that I asked about the torque rating is because I have one like that, and I pulled on it so hard they spread.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's useless.
And the only I wish
still sitting in the box.
I wish at the time, and I didn't do it. These didn't last very long. I only grabbed a few of them. I wish I'd gotten a whole set. But these guys here, as you can see, but the nice thing about these is that you push the button and the head.
Oh,
well, nice. That's cool.
And they have a cog in it where you can lock them in. And I use these. I use this one for building tool carts because it's small enough and I can get it up underneath the arms. And like I said, it's ratcheting. Right. I wish I'd bought a whole set. And these are really nice. This set here,
I've seen,
and this is a flex,
right?
And these ratcheting. I have a set. I have both sets of these, standard and metric, but I like those. But I really wish I had gotten when these came out. These didn't last very long. They weren't very popular.
When did they come out, Brian?
Oh, 3 or 4 years ago. Okay. And I only bought a couple that I thought, but I wish I'd gotten the set now.
Right.
Yeah, them things are cool.
Yeah. Yeah, my but I'd like to know what that ratcheting set, because unless it's over with, because I would have. That's the only problem. Our communication on that, what they do on our, they don't give us. I don't think they give us enough time to really utilize and use that. And then by the time somebody says like you, hey, I want that, and then I'm like, I don't have any place to order it to get the deal.
I mean, I just saw this today.
Yeah. I'll have, when we get done here, I'll have to do a call in and see if they come up with a special, because every once in a while, of course, they don't make it real clear, because some guys will call me and say, hey, what's this special order for? They'll just have a special order line made up, and it'll have one part number on it.
They just say, no, that's my asshole friend in New York that always comes up with this crazy shit. It's just that don't pay attention. She's just a wacko. I'll find it.
I'm pissed. My Yeti cup doesn't work good anymore.
What? Doesn't keep stuff cold or hot?
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got this thing last year for Christmas.
Uh-huh.
And you could put like 4 or 5 ice cubes in there.
All day.
Cold water, and it would be like that all day.
Yeah.
Right.
I put about 10 ice cubes in this thing before I came out here tonight, and there's almost no ice left. It used to be when you grabbed it on the outside, it was always room temperature, but ice cold inside. Now the whole thing is cold. I think the insulation has disintegrated.
I think Florida kicked his ass. Brian, I humbly apologize. I'm an idiot.
Unbelievable.
It's a Mac Tools thing.
Oh,
that's why they look good. It's Mac Tools. All of that.
Oh man, going to the other side.
No, I didn't buy them. I thought it was Mac. That's what I wanted to ask. It's Mac. All right, But I have seen it on the. I did see something like that.
We've had. That's the best. I mean, that's when I sell the most. Anytime there's free.
I'll tell you something. I haven't seen the tool guy in over a year, but like I'm like when I was on that truck and he had buy one get one. It's like where? It's like I never heard that in all my years of buying tools. There was never get one. There was always buy one, buy two.
Yeah.
Buy another one.
Both of them.
I haven't seen my Mac guy since like 1990.
So I was buying stuff like I would buy stuff like that up because like that's okay. At least if I thought I was getting a deal, I was more happy to spend the money.
I mean, like I said, there are times, like I said, there are a few of them that are really good deals.
You gotta let us know about those.
And those buy one get one types of stuff. Those are.
I see now they're packaging the Knipex pliers.
On what?
They're doing it like in sets now.
They have there's 3 or 4 of them. The only problem I have with some of the ones in the set, there is a difference between the standard, the regular.
It was like a 10 to 12. Did they go by? And there was a Cobra.
Yeah.
I know Clay's always talking about him. He raves about him, and that's how I learned. He actually was doing one of the product videos calling them. They're
on the other side. But my favorite is the Swedish, the Netpex Swedish pipe wrench.
That's wild.
That's
cool.
When this grabs a hold of something, it ain't letting go, dude.
Yeah. He actually said that someone from the company actually contacted him and corrected him. They corrected him. They said that you have to you say the K in the company name. It is Knipex. Everybody says Knipex. They dropped the K. So you're supposed to say that K. Now I see that another line of vice grips. I think they were. Oh, who's the company? It's a blue package.
Vice grips?
Not Vice Grip. It's another brand that's selling a Vice Grip plier, and they're putting that notch in the lower jaw so you could grab a nut.
They've had that. If I can remember, I'm not 100%. I don't like speaking completely out of my ass without knowing 100%, but when Stanley Tools, I think it is, they bought Channel Lock, not Channel Lock. What's the lock? Vice Grip. And when they bought that, and of course, I think the patent ran up. That's why you see a whole bunch of different companies now that have all these different type of locking vice grips and so forth. Yeah. And they have the biggest problem. I don't have any here right at my fingertip, but they're press. What are they? Press steel, and and the nose cones on them are riveted, and they usually come apart there. They're not.
Years ago, there was a big flap because there was a bunch of Chinese stuff on the market.
Yeah,
and go out to a swap meet and buy the originals. And
the problem is they won't warranty them like they used to. I mean, it's a real pain in the butt now.
Yeah. Even the ones from like Stanley was making a lot of vice grip stuff. And
when they bought out
those ones, and and it's like this. They bend.
Yeah. I know. Speaking of Clay again, he always talks about the snap-on vice grips, and he doesn't like them. He goes, I don't know, whoever's making these, and you guys are selling them. He'll always say that to Hamilton. Like, I do not like the snap. He goes, I will not buy another pair of these snap-on vice grips. Whoever's making it, it's crap.
That's that was very similar to adjustable wrenches.
Oh yeah.
Adjustable wrenches went through a big thing, and the ones that are made in Spain are the ones that you want to
Really?
Those are the ones you want to buy. Those are the ones that are made from. They make Snap-on and they make ours. We have one that's really nice. Well, they used to. We kind of jump around on that, but we have one that has a pipe wrench on one side and a regular adjustable wrench. And
I really
those
like.
are
I
really
think
nice.
you got to get a metric adjustable wrench for the new cars, and they work really well.
Well, they also have once left and right. So
Yeah, you need that too. You're right. See, you can never just buy one tool.
Is this the slide hammer that comes with this tool?
yeah, and that's
This thing's heavy.
And that has the twist lock on the end. Or that one's twist. There's another one. Actually, I just had it, but I think I put it away.
I'm pretty excited to try and use this thing.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I talked to Rocco. I said, hey, I got dents in the rocker panels. I said, give me some pointers. Do I go right into the deepest part of the dent? And he's like, no.
Yeah, we'll go around it.
Really?
Yeah.
He says, no. He goes, you got to go where it's shallow and just kiss it.
Yeah.
Get it to start moving, then move in. Kiss it, move in. He says, you got to work from the outside in.
That's the same thing if you're going to remove a dent with the hammer and dolly.
Yeah, he said if you put it in the middle and pull it, he says you're going to get a mountain.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got a flat. Yeah, with a hammer and dolly, you go around the outside and start working that. It's like magic.
And he said do all of your welding first.
Okay.
He says start picking places. He says make a circle and then another circle and another circle. He says depending on how big the dent is, you may put in 15 or 20 of these things.
So has he done anything with the Camaro or?
Yes.
What do you do?
He's hanging the new quarter panels on it now.
Okay.
He completely ripped the whole car apart.
Did he?
He said he took the passenger side quarter panel off and he found out that the car got whacked.
Ah.
Ooh.
I was like, oh, that don't make me happy. I
Yeah.
said, I knew it was Bondo. I said, because if the frame wasn't straight, I go, then the suspension stuff that I put on based on your frame. He's like, nah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
See, this one here. Oh, I'm sorry, John. Go on.
No. He says, if I have to, he goes, I can just, because your stuff's welded to the frame rails. He said, so if I have to wind up pulling a rail, your suspension's going to go with it.
If I have to do it, I'll just drive out of it. That's all.
Yeah. So
on that kit that you had, there should also be a small T-handle one. And this, you slide the pin, and then you can just by hand, you just pull out. And on some of that stuff, you'll be surprised because you got to be. You don't want to eat a lot of spinach or get all wound up when you start with that slide hammer.
Well, I'm a metalworking guy, so you got to finesse it. Yeah.
You got to, patience, young grasshopper.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
it takes time.
Do body guys, when they're doing that, do they go in there and kind of warm the metal up with a torch, or are you just pulling it cold?
Nope.
Cold, right?
Yep. And then they also have, actually, I just sold it. Damn it. They have the bear claw, and they have a tool that goes on to that gun, and it has a wave pattern, a ripple, and then it has this bear claw thing that goes on. So when you pull big dents out, pretty cool.
I just got a small dent in the rocker, which, I'm going to try this thing and I'm going to pull it. And if it turns out that I'm not liking what's happening, it's at the very back of the rocker panel. So I can just cut that sheet metal out and hand form a piece and step it and put it in there, and then I'll weld it in place. And then my body guy just has to do a little skim coat on there, and it's ready to roll. So I'm not going to sweat it. But it turned out that the rockers weren't as bad as I thought. By just laying on the garage floor and looking, and I'm like, oh, these are a mess. But then when I got it up on the rotisserie and rolled it, and I'm like, oh, this isn't that bad. It's fixable. Little hammer and dolly work. I got those 2 front fender mounts. So I fixed that stuff up right away.
Nice.
So that never happens. It's always worse.
Usually, yeah.
I was amazed. I'm like, wow, there's one dent on the driver's side, and then the rocker is kind of crushed up and dented in. Like if you took a grapefruit and pushed it up into the metal, that's what I have. I got this reverse bowl, and it's right in front of the wheel. And because the wheel wells have already been enlarged, so the back part of the rocker where it flips up, which becomes part of the fender lip, that's already gone because the rocker has been shortened by about 2 inches. In other words, it's been moved forward for the giant-sized tires.
If only a car.
Those things.
If only a car could talk to tell you what happened to it.
I know. I wish. Well, I logged in and I paid on one of those sites that does kind of like Carfax. They're very limited as to what they tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
And I found another one, and it breaks down the whole car. And this car's never been stolen, and it has no reported accidents. So the damage that's here is self-inflicted by the moron that used to own it.
Right.
It's all that unreported stuff.
Well, I'll tell you this too. About Carfax. When I bought this FJ, I ran a Carfax report on it just to see what was up, and then I said, okay. But really, the only way to know if these things are legitimate is if you run one on your own car that you know the history of.
That's what I did.
So I did. And my Mazda that I'm going to sell, I ran a Carfax on it. And it came up as having no reported incidents, no accidents. I've had 2 insurance claims on that car where it went to the body shop and got fixed through the insurance company. And it's telling me it's got 0. I'm like, what? Really?
That's not good.
So right away, I know that's wrong.
And I tried to run the other Firebird, and it won't allow it to go through.
Oh.
It only takes VIN numbers that are longer.
Yeah, 16 or 18. Yeah.
So.
But that should be the same on this car.
No. The 81's got
that's right. The 81
different VIN than the 70.
That's got the bigger VIN. Yeah.
After 80, I think it was.
Even when I get my cars inspected and they're in the machine, I go to the same place. He'll pull up the VIN on my 65 and it'll come up as, not in the system. The car doesn't exist. And I got to go and punch in the VIN. VIN isn't long enough. No, that's what they had in 1965, you idiot. And it's in there for the last 5 years.
I know.
But every year they got to do it manually.
So I don't know. With all of the antique cars rolling around here in Florida, I don't think I'll have any trouble.
Yeah.
But I want to, I know the history of the 70 because I know the original owner, and then it was me, and then it was those other knuckleheads that I know of, 3. But it would be just nice to run it anyway, just to see if maybe there was a 4th stuffed in there that nobody knew about.
Right.
But I think it'll be pretty weird because when I had a talk with the sheriff at DMV, and told him, I said, it's going to come up that I'm the last registered owner of the car, even though I sold it in 1992 and it's been through other people. He's like, how is that? And I'm like, because nobody ever put this car on the street.
Right. They didn't register it. Yeah.
And he was like, I don't get it. He says, was it just a race car? I go, 2 people told me it scared them because it's got a 1970 VIN tag, but it's a 1981 body. And he was like, oh, chop job. I'm like, yeah. Chop job by me, the owner. And he was like, oh, okay, I get it. He goes, Rocco, Rocco, he's the last owner. And he was like, whoa. He goes, I looked at that VIN and ran that VIN and it said it was a 70. He goes, this car turned out to be a drag race car only. He goes, I wasn't going to get caught and go to jail on that one.
So that would have been good. I mean, that's good if you were living here because you were the last owner on that, or you're on the title that way, right? You don't have to.
It's a weird part. There's no title for this car.
No.
But Florida said they will generate a title for me.
Yeah. But if you're the last,
will issue a title. Yeah, I'm
like
the last.
in Maryland, because if it's family or you're the last person, see, you don't have to go get it Maryland State inspected. Then you just go get you just pay the $100 and you get the tag work done on it.
Yeah.
And because it never changed hands, you don't have to get it state inspected, and then you get your tags.
You know, I don't know what they do here for that. As far as I know, from the rules that I've read on the website, it's like I've said it before here on the show. You could put a set of tail lights and headlights on a top fuel car, and you could drive it on the streets of Florida.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different categories. It is very, very lenient down here. So I don't, it's going to be based. It's going to say 70, even though the body's 81. But I don't know. What are they going to look for? Safety equipment? Well, it's going to have racing seat belts. They're better than OE.
Yeah.
Pollution control didn't exist. What they had? PCV valve.
PCV. Yeah.
That's it. So I shouldn't have any issues with any of that stuff. Putting an old car on the street. See what happens. Now this one, I don't know. I wonder if I'm going to get involved in any of that other. You shouldn't, though, right?
No, you shouldn't. What's good for one should be good for the other.
Well, this one's going to come up with an 81 VIN tag, though.
Well, yeah.
So I don't know what kind of inspection I have to go through on that.
Well, that's right. There's no hidden VINs because there's no real chassis. There's no OE chassis. So they can't.
Well, it's got the original front chassis, and it's got 2 VIN numbers on the firewall that I found.
The firewall, yeah. But like I said, they put them in the back of the chassis, but that's gone. I know
on the rear frame? Yeah. I don't know. That's long gone.
Mopars do it on that little pinch weld in the deck lid, in the trunk where the weather stripping goes. Mopar will put the VIN in there.
Really? Sneaky
But
sons of bitches.
I don't think Pontiac ever did that.
No, well, that stuff's all gone because it's all China stuff now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so you only got what you got.
I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah.
There is a category, though, for custom built cars that utilize parts from a major manufacturer.
Okay.
And that's a whole subsection of VIN that, like I said, Florida's very lenient.
Yeah.
I could build a car out of restoration parts and give it my own VIN number. There's a category that says that you can reproduce a specific model using manufactured parts from the original equipment company, but it's still yours because you built it.
Right.
So there's like a lot of categories there. I was very amazed when I went on the DMV site to register, street rods and off-road and stuff like that. I'm like, wow, they got a lot of categories down here that I can fit this thing into.
Wow.
Yeah, they do a lot of that up here too. We deal with quite a bit of that with assembled cars, and we do a lot of like fiberglass Willys bodies. That's kind of where our shop started. And so I mean, all that stuff's assembled cars. But it's crazy though, because we'll build cars for customers out of state. We built one for a guy a couple years ago out of Montana. He had a hell of a time getting a title.
Really?
But up here in Michigan, I mean, they don't give us too much trouble.
He probably should have titled it in Michigan and then do a swap deal. That would have been a smart way to go.
Yeah.
Pay the taxes twice. What are you going to do? But at least it gets done.
Yeah, so you guys been having some parking lot fun up there in Michigan with those gassers and stuff. I've been ripping them around in the lot.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we've been doing quite a bit of stuff. We get shipping a few cars out. Yeah, that 70 Torino, we've had that car for a while, and we just got it running and driving. It went to exhaust shop today. Yeah, we've a ton of stuff, man.
Yeah.
I built a 41 Willys years ago. It was from the body was from a place upstate New York called Willys Works.
Oh.
I don't know if they're still in business or not.
That's probably where my friend Vince goes. He's been building Willys for years.
Super nice guys, and they build all of the popular Willys bodies.
Yeah,
right.
And, that was one of the cars that we gave away. We worked with them, and it was a 41 Willys. It kind of looked like a Pro Mod car. Had a big giant wing on the back, and we took styrofoam and glued it to the nose and shaved it to come up with this like cow catcher front end.
Oh yeah,
You know, an extended cow catcher type air dam front end, like a Pro Mod. And then we brought the nose up back to them at Willys Works, and then they refined it. They put that nose on one of their cars, and then they refined it and actually made a mold out of it for us.
Cool.
And we were the first ones to get that nose, you know, out of the mold. Yeah, that was a pretty cool car. That was.
They're neat cars. We love doing them.
John went mute.
Uh-oh.
Lost your audio, John.
Well,
Okay.
There you go.
The front of the car, the front of the cab is pinched in.
Yeah.
So when you sit in the car, you're not sitting straight.
No,
You're sitting. If you're on the driver's side, you're looking at the passenger side front fender. Your body is aiming to the front fender.
Yeah, it's not quite as bad as a Model A, but they also come.
Yeah. It comes in way far. So very, very far when you first, like, I had to do the test drives on this thing because we gave it away as a running. And because of the seat positioning, I felt like the car, like the rear end was not aligned with the front end. I felt like the car was crabbing going down the road.
Sure.
It's a strange car to get used to driving.
Yeah.
You know, it was very, very odd. I mean, we took the car, I put it back up on the scales, and I'm like, did we square this thing? Is it because I feel like I'm not driving straight? I feel like I'm, you know, crabbing to one side.
Did you get any feedback from the guy who won it later on, like how he adapted to it?
Yeah, he kept it the way it was for about a year, and then he converted it back to a real Willys body. So he basically he got rid of my wing.
Yeah.
Got rid of the dual fuel cells that we put into it and had somebody build them an aluminum one. This was years after I was done with that deal. And he got rid of the nose. He sold the nose to somebody, and he put a stock 41 nose on it and made it into a legit street ride. He lives in Deer Park.
Okay.
So, he made it into it's black. It was blue. With flame. And now it's black. But he still has it.
All right.
Yeah, they are something different to get used to, that's for sure. You know, the first car I worked on when I started with the shop was one of those. It was a 40 Willys. But yeah, same deal. Like, everything's just a little sideways.
Yeah. I don't think I could race that car at the track. I'd wind up being out of control with that thing. Because it just doesn't feel like it's going straight. It's weird. Just a strange car.
You got to build it like a rail. Just put one seat right in the middle.
There you go.
You know, center steering, done.
Sit right over the drive shaft.
Yep.
Yeah, we did that. We built a rolling chassis race car for a guy in Oklahoma. It was on one of our chassis, but it was a 32 Ford body, and that was the same deal. Like, you know, you put it over where you feel like you should be. You're way off the side of the car. You know, the thing was almost in the center.
Strange. That's why I like older muscle cars.
Yeah.
Instead of antique stuff. Man, I had to go to the gas station today. Go get freaking $3.25 a gallon for regular.
Yeah.
I put up that Biden sticker, man.
Yeah. Some places up here are like $3.40.
Yeah. Well, you guys got higher taxes up there too. So
they kill us on the gas taxes like crazy.
But it was weird because I'm there pumping the gas, and this young guy pulls up in a new Camaro, and it was the weirdest color. It's not green and it's not yellow.
I was gonna say, was it green? Because I saw it on the road yesterday, that
it's
was
like this
really weird.
greenish yellow. It's like
Yeah.
this electrified candy-looking color.
Yeah, it was like fish gill green.
This wasn't really green. It was more towards yellow.
It
It
depends
was
how the
in
light hits it, I
between.
think.
Yeah, it was in between
Yeah.
those two colors. It looked really good. I was like, whoa. I said, GM, they're trying to copy Mopar with their crazy candy colors,
The guy that passed me,
He had really nice wheels on it, and it looked, and it was spotless. He must have just washed it or something, and no stupid stuff attached to it, no dumb aftermarket wing, and just none of the doodads that these idiots stick on their cars today. It was just clean. I was like, that thing actually looked good. I was very surprised. He was a young kid too. Like, must have been like right out of high school.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, maybe Daddy got some money, gave him a good graduation present or something.
Yeah.
So, it was nice.
Yeah, them greens are cool.
It was like bone stock. Wasn't real loud. And it's one of the what's the models they got? It was one of the fast ones. There's because like they don't make a Z28 anymore, but they got like I think it was like a Z something.
Like a ZR1 or something.
Well, no, it wasn't a Z. It was ZR1's a Corvette, but it was something that they're doing. One of the upper performance models. There's a badge on it. I don't know if it was 2 letters or 3 letters or something, but it was that. It wasn't a stocker, 6-cylinder deal.
Yeah.
Looked real good. Looked really good. I was very surprised.
Nice.
So, thank God tomorrow's Friday. Wow.
Yeah, it is already.
Yeah, the weather's been nice. Go out in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like 66 degrees.
Oh, okay. We've been in the 50s up here in the morning.
Yep.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's great. It hasn't been humid or anything.
No.
Yeah. This is a nice time of the year.
Buddy Bill says it's the ZL model, the Camaro.
That's it. All right. Yeah. ZL. Right.
Right.
Hey, it was nice. I liked it. It was cool. If I was going to buy a Camaro, that'd probably be the one I would get.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting these teases. I got this thing in the email. Come see the 2022 GMC, Silverado, and there's a video. And you click the video, and it just shows the headlights, and it's dark. Everything's dark.
Oh, they're trying to be
you just see these and the headlights don't look any different than the ones I have. The white LED like L-shaped running lights on them. They turn on, and then it kind of gets closer, and then the video ends.
Oh wow!
I'm like, really? I mean, you couldn't even see the grill.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on. Not like I'm buying a 2022. My truck's not old enough yet. But I was expecting to see something.
I saw a blurb about that Maverick, and they were saying now that they're claiming it'll get like 35 miles per gallon city and like 40 something highway. With the
I watched, I think it was about an 8 or a 9 minute video of some geek who is like middle management showing the wonderfulness of the bed.
Oh.
And I had to laugh because the guy had a pair of mechanics wear like type gloves, but they weren't. They were some cheap ones he must have got at Harbor Freight. And he's talking about the tailgate. Now, you know how on the tailgate you got the cables?
Yeah.
And there's that like weird screw that comes out of the quarters. So when you want to take the tailgate off, you flip the tang and you knock the cables out, and then you can actually take a tailgate off a typical truck, right?
Yeah.
So Ford's brilliance, what they did was they put another set of bolts higher up. So the guy's fumbling with the cable, and he gets it off, and he lifts the tailgate, and then he's fumbling, and he hooks it up. Then he goes to the other side, and he's talking, and he's like picking at this thing, and I'm like, why didn't somebody yell cut?
Yeah, right.
And you know what I'm saying?
Edited.
So he takes his glove off and he gets it off, and then he hooks it. So now the tailgate's like at about a 30-degree angle.
Uh-huh.
And obviously this thing has a short bed, very short bed. And he was like, if the camera goes down and you look along the plane of the top of the tailgate, you'll notice that when you put a sheet of plywood in, now the tailgate is at the same height as the top of the fender wells. So when you load your plywood, it's flat.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, good for you. So this truck is so small that a 4-foot wide sheet of plywood literally goes from bedside to bedside.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't fit in between like a typical pickup truck.
It goes over the wheels, yeah.
So then there's pockets in the inner bed, and he takes a 2x4 and he puts it in the front, and it leaves like a gap probably about 6 or 8 inches. He goes, if you've got a bike, you can put the bike in the bed with the front wheel off, and you'll be able to shut the tailgate.
Whoa.
And you can take the front wheel and put the front wheel in here.
In front of the 2x4, yeah.
Right. And you can make a special mount that can hold your bike if you're good. And I'm like, I don't get this, they're trying. Then he takes a 2x6 and he lays a 2x6 across into these other pockets. And he's like, if you go to the farmer's market and you're picking up a bunch of stuff, you can lay these 2x6s and you can make like a bi-level loading area. So you can put stuff on the bottom and stuff on the top. And I'm saying to myself, they're really trying to sell this thing.
Yeah.
And it just must be a total piece of shit.
They're pushing.
That they're pushing it so hard. But this dude was like definitely middle management.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what the hell he was doing. And I'm like, this is the worst, like 8 or 9 minutes of my life. Why am I watching this? And I'm aggravated over the fact that they call it the Maverick to begin with.
Right.
When I was at the Ford dealership on Monday, they had 5 or 6 new of the full-size Broncos. The new Broncos. And they had the first ones that came out were the ones with the soft tops. And then they came out first, and then they had like 4 of the new the ones with the hard top. And it was pretty interesting. They have like 4 different models on those. And it was pretty interesting. I was it was pretty interesting to look at them. I mean, they're pretty big.
I like them.
Yeah. But they...
How much you want to bet General Motors will follow up now with the K5 Blazer?
Right.
Oh, I'm sure.
K5, yeah.
They'll bring
Just
that
as
back.
popular. Just as popular.
Yeah.
I wonder who sold more.
I think Bronco.
Well, Bronco, the line went longer than the K5 did.
Yeah.
K5 ended, but the Blazer.
Well, the K5 was what was the K5 really?
It was an option.
It was a square body pickup truck. With no bed.
Right.
It just had longer quarter panels.
Yeah.
With a removable fiber, and that fiberglass roof weighed a ton.
Yeah.
Because I had one of those, and I'm like, oh, we should take the roof off. We're gonna go out to Smith's Point Beach. It'll be a blast. I unbolted all that stuff. I went to lift it. And I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I had to call like 4 other guys.
Wow.
Yeah, that thing weighed a ton. That was some really thick fiberglass.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. Take those old Blazers apart. Go to put them back together again. That seal does not seal over. If it's been like that for years, it doesn't reseal. I wound up with leaks when it rained. There was water coming in.
That's the way my Scout was. My Scout had a removable top, and I had the one on my Scout was a half. It looked like a little pickup truck. It didn't go all the way back, so it was pretty easy for me to do to take out. But I tell you one thing, those because of the flat windshield and the way the top and of course the aerodynamics of that being a brick. So when you were going down, the water would just come through. I mean, to seal that up during the wintertime, it was a pain in the butt, and you had to get pretty creative to get it on.
Wow.
But that was heavy. That was steel. That wasn't a fiberglass. That was a steel top.
Wow.
But thank God it was only, like I said, like a small. It's just like taking a pickup truck and cutting the top off. I mean, it was just the little get up underneath there, and of course, you throw it back together, and you don't. It had 27 bolts that ran across the top, and 47 of them ran across the back. You only put about 3 in. You put 3 across the top and the 2 in the corner because you were taking the top on and off so
That's
much.
before battery powered impact.
Oh yeah, and
Yeah.
they of course they had like inch and a half long 5/16 bolt. That you had to run down there, and that gave you a hell of a workout. So yeah, those were the days.
Unreal.
Oh.
I don't know.
Slow night tonight, boys.
Yeah, I got tons of stuff to do. I need to really get. I can't. I had electric impact that I was supposed to rebuild tonight, and I can't find where I put it. No, I can't find where I put it.
Those that's not good.
I know.
Those Stubby guns are really cool.
Yeah.
That was
I was hoping to get it done tonight. I don't see the guy, but
I was watching a Macro video, and they were saying, it's from front to back, it's less than 5 inches, and it's 4 7/8. I was like, it's an 1/8 of an inch, guys. I mean, okay, technically you're right, but
I had that and.
Love advertising.
Yeah, I had that, and I had 2 air hammers that I needed to take a look at. I don't know. I tried to fix one the other day in the shop, and I don't know. I must have missed something because I couldn't get it to work, and I was hoping to, but so
that was the one thing that this guy actually he goes by the name of Car Care Nut, I think. Is his YouTube channel. The guy does the Toyota stuff. And he was saying he did a thing about, with the tools that you should buy. He came out with his pneumatic tools, the air tools, and he was showing the battery stuff. And, he showed how he's got his Matco air gun he loved. And he says his first 3/8 battery gun was a Snap-on. He goes, I bought this thing. It was a lot of money. He goes, and it's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
The battery didn't last. He goes, and I wouldn't. His personal thought was, he goes, I wouldn't buy any of these battery guns from the tool guys. He says because that's not what they do. He says, look at the construction industry, and then he brings out the DeWalt. He goes, these guys use these things every day in construction. And he said, that's what I did. I went in with it. He followed that logic, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah.
But he was saying, he goes, there's only 2 things you're not gonna see where these tools are concerned. He goes, nobody uses corded tools anymore. He goes, because it's just a pain in the neck. He says, if you're working in a dealership, you can be in different bays, or if you're at home, you can be out on the street. You got to bring an extension cord. And he says, and the other thing you'll never see is you won't see so far a battery-powered air hammer. And I'm like, that's right. There is no battery-powered as of yet.
I've seen one. I've used one.
Have you?
Used one. Yeah, we had one at our tool show last year, the year before, and we've had a couple prototypes.
That's got to take a beating.
But the problem is the battery. The battery's not there. I mean, you can't.
Yeah. I think I would liken that to like a battery powered whiz wheel, because a whiz wheel is one of the tools that just sucks the most amount of air out of your compressor.
Yeah, we have one.
It's the same thing. It's got to be just a killer.
Yeah, we have a battery powered cutter, and the only problem is like, where did it go?
I have an electric whiz wheel, and the thing's got no torque.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they're useless. And then I have the air
and
powered ones.
You have to use a 20. You have to make, you have to use a 20-volt battery.
Yeah.
And the problem is then it's too big.
What brand battery powered one do you have, John?
No, I have an electric one.
Oh, a corded one.
Yeah. I have a corded one which has no torque, so I don't use it. It's garbage.
Okay.
And then I have a couple of the air ones, a straight one and one that's at a 90.
Okay.
But they're
you're talking about a die grinder.
Yeah, when I put a whiz wheel on it.
Okay.
And I have a straight one.
Dedicated whiz wheel.
I have one that's dedicated to straight.
Right.
You have a die cut like this. You have like this.
Right, like that, and I took the hood off.
Yeah, because there are some guys that will take a die grinder like this.
Right.
Yeah,
and they put that arbor in.
I use that with their. Once in a while I'll put that arbor in there.
And
it's difficult to use.
Yeah, well, you're lucky that you have all your fingers.
Yeah,
and an eyeball, because the difference between this and this is that this thing turns way too fast.
Yeah.
And most guys that use this have a lot of problems, and they're the ones that bitch about blowing shit up all the time. And I'm like, this is not meant for what that you're doing.
I've had to use that because of where I was cutting.
Yeah.
But normally the only thing that's on that is that little 3-inch arbor for the roll-lock sanding disc.
Yeah.
Or the fiber one. That's all that gets used for.
Yeah, mine's the same way.
About a week ago, a buddy of mine came over. He had garbage picked an electric heater and he wanted to rewire it. So he was going to go with the Home Depot. I said, listen, stop by it. Take a look at it. We take it out in the garage, and we had to get that cover off in the back. And the problem was, I was telling Brian this, they were security torque screws, and one of them was submerged down this 6-inch deep channel, and I had nothing that could get in there because I had the bit, but you put it on an adapter, and it was just too wide for the hole. Yeah. So I said, look, if we could cut the plastic and just cut around this. He's like, all right. So because you got a hacksaw, I get the hacksaw and I'm cutting. He goes, all right, exact. And he's just, I said, you know what? Hold on. I said, stop what you're doing. I walked over to the toolbox. I got the whiz wheel. I put it on the compressor. I said, you know what? I said, Chris is a big fan of everything. Is like, the Dremel tool. Using it. I said, and I've always laughed at him. I was like, no, this is my Dremel tool. And we're in there like, the thing is like, holy shit. I said, it'll cut anything. Cut anything. Like, that's just my go-to tool. Done. Oh, Chris was telling me, I think it was last week, he was watching this show, and it was late, like around now. And I think he said he was watching on his phone. He may be watching it now, and he laid it down. His wife comes in the bedroom and has to wake him up because he went.
Yeah, I heard.
While we were doing the show.
He falls asleep while he's listening to us.
I know, great. So to that note, I have to say, I noticed something too. I wanted to show my wife something that we talked about last week. And I brought it up on YouTube on the TV a couple days later. And she says to me, are you sleeping? I'm like, what? No, I'm awake. She goes, no, on the show. And I realized, like, I may look like I'm asleep a lot. And I did. I said, yeah, I look like I'm sleeping because my camera is on top of the monitor. And if I look at the camera, now you can see my eyes. But if I look at you guys, my eyes are always like a little hooded anyway. I don't have like wide open eyes.
That's so me. I look like I'm sleeping the whole time I'm here watching the screen.
Yeah. I looked at myself on TV. I'm like, damn, because I wasn't moving a lot. I'm like,
I tried putting the camera down on top of by the keyboard.
Right.
And then that's kind of a weird angle to boot too.
Well, so that's really, I got it on top of the monitor. I really can't put it anywhere else.
That's where mine is, right on top of the monitor.
That's what drives me crazy when I'm in the tool truck, because when I plug this in, it comes up on. I have a TV in the tool truck that's up, So when I plug this in, that's why I'm always looking up because I'm watching the screen. Of course, the camera's in the thing, so that's why. And I try so hard just to talk to the camera, but you always want to see. You look.
You want to look at who you're talking to.
Yeah, so it's kind of that's why when I go back and watch when I'm on the truck, I'm always like, looking over like that. And think I got some kind of issue or something.
You know what? We all still come back, and none of us really even care. So
yeah, well,
so that's the beauty of it. Like, guys,
Yeah,
who cares? I told my wife, I said, women would care about that stuff. I said, we don't care about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, who cares? Big deal.
Big deal. That's right. I don't know where my battery power one went to. Now I really got to clean this garage up.
Yeah, right.
Hey, did you see the splash on the new GM 632?
No.
That doesn't suck.
They're actually, they put out some feelers on it. They're gonna have it for you to check out at SEMA, and they're gonna start delivering them in February. It's 632 inches, makes 1,004 horsepower.
Nice.
On 93 octane pump gas.
It's like mid-8s on torque, I think.
Yeah, and they're selling it as a race engine. You know what the weird part is? When you see the picture, go take a look at it. It's got symmetrical ports on the intake side. It's not a typical big block Chevy head.
Wow.
Big block Chevy heads have Siamese intakes.
Right.
This has 4 separate ports, like a aftermarket Dart race head.
So must have an aftermarket head on it. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all GM.
It's a crate engine.
It's a crate engine. It's
wow.
a ZZ632.
Nice.
And the whole thing that they're doing with all this ads and the people that are doing the reviews are like, as General Motors is getting ready to kick gasoline engines to the curb,
right,
they've come out with the most powerful engine in history. And I'm like, that's pretty awesome that they're going to be doing that.
I just got an email from the New York Auto Show, and it says NYIAS. I'm not sure what that stands for. The organizers hold
International Auto Show.
Okay, organizers hold the electric vehicle ride and drive for legislators, because the blurb says the 425 local franchise of new car dealers that are members of the Greater New York Automotive Dealers Association, they're hosting this thing for 150 people. Highlights 18 electric cars that range in price from 32 to 100,000. They can travel more than 100 to 300 miles on a charge. But Hokel is behind this too. They're trying to make this their kill gas, go electric push. Yeah, GM, here's the guy standing in front of the banner, says, we're all in on electric vehicles.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Then the guy next to him standing next to a 632.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
I hope they have that thing down at PRI. I'd love to see it.
It'll be a PRI because it's going to be at SEMA. So I'm just wondering, they haven't released the price yet. So I don't know. It's going to be expensive.
What do you think? What's your guess?
Pump gas motor. Well, like the one we got for Rocco from Blueprint, which makes 850 horse, that was like $14,000.
Okay.
Which to me is a very reasonable price. But a lot of people say, well, a lot of the stuff that comes out of Blueprint is like castings that come out of China, that kind of stuff. Whereas this GM stuff is all GM stuff.
Right.
So I wouldn't doubt that this motor is going to be all at 25,000.
That's the one you can buy for your car.
25 to 30 probably.
Yeah. Because I know the ZZ572 is not a cheap motor by any means. So the 632, being that it's got these custom designed heads and this spider-looking high-rise manifold.
I was going to ask you what kind of intake was on it.
Yeah, it's got a cast aluminum intake, but you could see all the individual runners, and it's tall.
Wow.
This thing's not made to put in a car. It's made to be in a drag car with a dragster or a drag car with a hood scoop.
Right.
You're not stuffing this thing under any hood.
55 Chevy.
I don't think it would even
4.6.
fit under a
You
55.
could put a tunnel ram under the hood.
56 or
You could put a
57.
tunnel ram under the hood of a 55 Chevy.
Where's Terry?
I don't know.
Oh, he's working on that SEMA car.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's
They're
busy.
behind. I've
Hey,
been
Brian, I was
his
watching
posts.
Counting Cars last night, and they delivered Alice Cooper's Avanti that they built for him. So he was showing him some of his cars, and one of them is a bullet-style Mustang, a Highland Green Mustang. And Danny asked him, well, what's under the hood of this beautiful car? He goes, oh, just a 289. He lifts the hood, and it was, a late. He called it a. Oh shit! What's Ford's? Their new
The modular motor
yeah.
was the 4.6.
What platform is that?
Uh,
Can't believe I just blanked out.
Not Coyote.
Yeah, he said it had a 5.0 badge on the engine cover, so it ain't a 289. That would be a 302. But
yeah,
he says, he goes, it's just all motor in this thing. And he goes, this
that's the Coyote. That would be a newer
Yeah.
Coyote.
thing. He didn't say who built it, and then he bought it. He just bought. He says, I just got this thing like this week. It was a Vanquish, that's a not
Charger, Challenger.
No.
Aston Martin.
An Aston Martin, yeah.
Oh wow!
And he said, this is Danny, and it looked like a new car. Danny asked him, well, what year is this? He goes, it's 2003. He's like, really? He goes, the design is so fresh today. He goes, yeah. He goes, this was the one I wanted. He goes, that was the one that they used in James Bond movie back then in Tomorrow Never Dies or whatever it is.
Yeah.
On the ice.
Uh-huh.
He goes, yeah. He goes, I think this was the best looking one. He says, yeah, I got one of these.
A high school buddy of mine, Hank, he lives near Phoenix. He's friends with Alice.
Uh-huh.
And they're part of the Ford Club.
Right.
And they play golf together.
Yeah. He's a good golfer from what I hear.
Yeah, he's a really good golfer. And Hank sends me pictures because they'll have like Thursday night, they'll all meet up at like a hamburger place, the Ford Club. And his daughter, she has a really nice 65 Mustang.
Uh-huh.
And so it's pretty cool. He thought it was awesome when he moved from Long Island. He wound up there in Arizona, and he's a Ford guy forever.
Right.
Joined the club, and he rolls up there, and he's leaning against this car, and all of a sudden Alice Cooper comes walking by, and he was like, "Whoa!" And then they got to be really good friends.
But the funny moment, Danny was saying, he goes, well, listen, he goes, we're going to have to get back home. He says, it's getting a little warm here. He goes, yeah, it was like, 115 degrees. None of them looked like they were even breaking a sweat, So Alice asked him, he goes, well, what's it like, back in Nevada? He goes, oh, I just checked the thing. It's like, it's only 110. He goes, it's going to feel cool when we get home. It'll be like I'm like, get the fuck out of here, 110.
It's dry heat.
But none of them, they're all on camera, and none of them look like they not even a bead of sweat on their foreheads. I guess you get used to it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd sweat I'd be like a sponge, just like
dry heat. Well, that's like when I was in Colorado.
Yeah, I know.
It was really hot in Colorado, but there was no humidity.
I felt the same thing in Colorado. Yeah,
it was strange.
Yeah,
very strange. But I couldn't breathe there. I don't do good in altitudes.
Right.
That was a struggle for me up there. I was like, this is not the place to live.
I was just talking to a woman I see her every Saturday in my chiropractor's office. She born and raised in Colorado, and we were talking about that. And she says, "Yeah, she goes, that's why all the people like the Olympiads come to train there, because if they could train there in that thin air and be good when they come into thicker air, they can perform even better because they can really breathe."
Yeah. If you can breathe there and exert yourself, you're a monster at sea level.
Yeah, your lungs are working. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's why all the top fuels teams, that's why back in the day they loved coming to National Speedway, because these guys from the Midwest they're coming down at sea level at National, and they're running like numbers like they never saw before.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I see a lot of like some people that I know, they do that like triathlon training and stuff.
Yeah.
And they'll go to Colorado, and then they put on these masks that limit the amount of air that they can breathe.
Wow.
And it's like this in super crazy intense training where you're literally depriving yourself of oxygen.
Wow.
And your body gets used to functioning on a lower level.
Yeah.
Because when they do these triathlons, they're doing altitude, they're doing ocean, they're doing the bike, the whole 9 yards, and it's like really weird. It almost kind of looks like some sort of like deviant sexual looking kind of dominant submission mask type thing that you can't breathe through.
That was the other part of it.
Not for me.
Yeah. Me neither. I want my nice wet air.
That's it. I got a nice big hood scoop on my mouth.
Yeah. I mean, on the right night, I can smell the Atlantic Ocean. It's like it comes up even this far, and I'm not really right close to it, but you can smell that salty air. It's like, oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Around here we have in the wintertime you can smell strawberries.
Oh yeah, you're in the strawberry capital of the world, right?
Yeah. They've all been planted. They're growing.
Yeah.
And once they start to actually up, you can smell them.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Better than us, man. On the right day, we smell Beet Factory.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Nice.
I'd prefer the strawberries.
Yeah.
Well, being so close to DC, every once in a while, you got a lot of bullshit.
Right, you get the manure. Yeah.
I'm
sure.
Exactly. All the horse shit.
I shouldn't be that way.
Well.
Why? Why not?
My wife was watching. She had to do it. She had to put on CNN to watch Biden's his address.
When he was doing that thing at Martin Luther King's monument today.
I watched a little bit of it. No, this was on a set. I watched a little bit before I came down here, and he was just like walking back and forth, but he was like all over the place.
Oh, that's right. He had one of those. What are they?
Not a round table. It's what do they call it?
Town
hall. Yeah.
Town hall. Yeah.
He was all over. The few minutes I watched, he was all over the place.
He's useless. They today, both him and Spreadlegs were at the Martin Luther King monument. It's like the 10-year anniversary.
Right.
So naturally, she was playing her deal.
Oh yeah.
And then he got up there and he started talking, and then he just slid right into that. We got to do this. We can afford it. We can't afford to not do it. And I'm like, oh my God, shut up. Let me put on the Billy Joel channel or something else. I don't want to hear you.
I had fun last night. I watched the Curtis Sliwa and the Eric Adams, the mayoral debate for the city.
Yeah.
And Sliwa, man, he's, I was talking to my friend Kevin about it today. He's like, hey, reminded me of Trump. I'm like, yeah, he is like that. I said, because he's a conservative. I said, and he's the man in the street. He's a brawler. He's a fighter. He'll call you out. I said, yeah, he does kind of remind you of Trump. He's got that, he'll like challenge somebody to either prove him wrong or debate him. I said, and Adams just standing there saying, no, I don't debate with buffoonery. Like, come on. He goes, I don't talk to buffoonery. I talk to the people. Like, oh, Christ.
Well, my customer Nate said that, and he looked at the calendar and he said, I'm telling you, mark this down. He said, I'm telling you today, on the 21st of October, 2021. He said, Trump's going to win the next election.
Wow.
I'm like, really? I go, you hate him. He goes, yeah, I do hate him. He's a jerk. He goes, but he's going to win. He goes, because my side, we ain't got a horse in that race for anything.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, maybe things will get better. He goes, really? I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
I said, let's be honest here.
No.
I said, are you excited over the fact that about 30,000 people a month are coming across your border, and then they're being flown to various cities and states the middle of the night?
In Westchester Airport, they're unloading them like crazy.
And that the feds have forced TSA to just allow these people to walk onto the plane.
It was the guy from the Post who actually...
They don't have tickets. They don't have licenses. They don't have ID. They have nothing. They
badges.
don't notify the
We
governor.
don't need no
They don't
badges.
notify the mayor. They don't notify the police commissioner. They just ship these people.
We don't need your
And he's
stinking
like,
badges.
he goes, "You're right. You're 100%
We'll be
right." He
federales.
goes, "We don't have a border anymore in this country."
No. You know, there was a guy from the Post who was at Westchester. He watched them land. He documented, and he followed a bus. This bus hightailed it down the Hutch and right to Long Island. There's this like a place out in Suffolk where they just put them all out there, like, you know, about 100 of them.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, now they disseminate out, and it's like, you know, and no one knows nothing. It's under the dark of night.
Yeah, and you got to say to yourself, what is this all about? What is the end game here? You live in this country. You're running this country. You know that there's a fucking law that says this is illegal, and you're totally fine with it. And you use your bully pulpit and your people that work for you to push what's considered the front line of security at an airport is TSA.
Yeah. Right.
And you're just telling these people, no, that's okay. They just go.
Yeah, don't worry about that.
So
yeah.
Just turn your head, go take a coffee break. These 300 people are getting on that plane.
Right.
And flying during a no-fly time.
Right.
Yeah.
And flying when no other commercial planes are out.
You know, that's the thing. A buddy of mine who's in who was telling me this? I think he's in Queens. He was saying that they restricted flights over his area at night because it's over houses. He says, I've been hearing the planes at night. He goes, that's what they are. They're planes coming in at night where the commercial airliners don't fly. Like,
so you see this stuff because it leaks out, and you say to yourself, really, what the fuck is my government up to?
Right.
You know, horrible.
Yeah.
And the shit gets out in the news, and you know that every other goddamn country on the face of the earth is like, you guys are the dumbest motherfuckers going.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous that they have taken over and they just don't give a shit.
No.
At all.
Yeah.
I'm amazed that I have to live through this, and it angers the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I really, really wish there's a way I could channel. What was that character that Sylvester Stallone played? That he was the Vietnam guy.
Oh, Rambo.
Oh, Rambo.
That's me.
I was thinking about
I want to let my hair grow, and I want to have those bandoleros on
bandoleros,
me.
right?
And just mow you right down. Done. How else are you going to change it?
Yeah.
That's the only way it's going to get changed.
Well, the next election. But then, then you got to spend, there's got to be so much time undoing what was done, and the damage is done. It's.
Yeah. When you print trillions of dollars of monopoly money, when you've already got trillions of dollars of debt, and a lot of that debt is payable to China.
Yeah.
And then you print trillions more and hand it out to people under the guise of, well, you really need this because of COVID.
Yeah.
And you have no way of ever recouping this. Oh, yeah, you're going to raise taxes. And my plan, it doesn't cost anything.
Yeah,
it's free because it's being paid for by these taxes. And I'm like, asshole, what about all the fucking trillions of dollars you already owe? What about doing something with that?
Speaking of taxes, I saw something today. I've been following a news feed from this town in North Carolina that I'm interested in living at. And a woman won $1 million scratch-off on a scratch-off ticket. Yes, the other day. So they said, okay, you could take an annuity payment of $50,000 a year for 20 years, or you could take the lump sum of $600,000. She opted for the lump. So, okay, so they took, 40% out, gave her, $600,000. But then what she ended up with was $425,000, because once the state and local guys got in there and ate at it, she got $420,000. I mean, granted, look, it costed $10, but the way they just everybody has their freaking hand in everything.
You know,
jeez.
That's why you gotta like win like the big Florida lottery or the Powerball, where the millions are insanely high, where you can just say, hey, that you know what,
right.
I don't care.
Right, it doesn't matter.
Because after taxes, after everybody jumps in there and grabs it, and then all of my relatives that I never knew I had come looking for something, I'll still wind up with like $30 million.
Right.
Which is enough money for me to go buy an island and tell you all, see you later.
Yeah, exactly.
It's unbelievable. And just like, where does this money go?
Yeah.
Did you see the video from, I think it was from about a week or two ago. It was a senator. He had all of these big, beautiful like display cards made, and he was talking about all of these government programs, like the one with where they paid, I think it was like almost $500,000 to study lizards running on a treadmill.
Nice.
You believe that somebody put in a grant for that, and the government said, "Yeah, okay, we can pay that."
I've heard about those for years, about those stupid ass
This
things.
This guy had these poster boards made.
Yeah.
With the name of the organization, the whole deal, and how much money they were getting for all of this stuff. And then there was $250,000 was paid to some group to study the sexual habits of people in Uganda.
Well, they have like the mating habits of the dung beetle. Like, that's important.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody gets a grant for that? Yeah.
Yeah. So you know that it's somebody getting paid off on that deal.
Just got to know where to apply, and they got all those stupid things available. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's like, you got to be kidding me with the way this country wastes money.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not going to change, though, because you don't have the power to change it. I don't care. Your vote don't mean shit.
Yeah.
We're too far away from that.
Mm.
Your voice is not loud enough. The people that work for you don't realize that they work for you anymore. They work for them.
Yeah.
They work for themselves. They work for their unions. They work for the people that make donations to their campaigns. That they don't work for you.
Mm.
You know? And that's why I honestly believe it's going to get really violent.
Well, that'll do it. They on that town hall, the one thing I heard was the guy asked Biden about the price of gasoline's been going up and people are getting agitated. That's something that's, it's a quality of life issue. Like, what are you planning on doing about that? And he says, well, yeah, gas is going up. He goes, we need to be less dependent on gas. He goes, and natural gas. He just like segued it into natural. He goes, home heating gas. That's something where we got to help people to be able to afford to heat their houses. He just went into this whole thing about a social program about help people heat their houses, where the question was about gasoline. It's like typical politician, just divert and answer a different question.
Yeah. And it's like, what can you do? What can you do? I'm keeping my eye out. If he ever decides to come here to Florida to campaign and do one of those town halls, I'll be the guy that gets arrested.
He'll send Kamala.
Yeah.
Well, look what happened. Well, they sent her and Obama. Where was it? Somewhere in the South.
Yeah.
My wife just told me about it. They he didn't go. They sent Obama and Harris to go and stuff. I'm like, okay. I said it's like calling out Bill Clinton again. It's like let's have a feel good party. The feel good candidates, the ones everybody loves because they know how to schmooze with the celebrities.
The two that can't get anything done.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, but that's why if I can get into one of those things and somehow get through security to ask a question, I'll be the one that gets arrested.
Well, that's hypothetical now.
Because I'll ask the question. I'll ask the question, and they'll answer the question in their typical political way, and then I'll shout at the top of my lungs and use 4-letter words about that's not the question that I asked you that you're answering. I'll curse them out, and then the Secret Service with the stupid sunglasses will come take me away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Back in
I'll
the day,
I'll use it to my advantage, though, because I'll become the martyr, and there'll be, I don't know, 60 million people will go, that fat fuck is right. It was good that he said that. He was smart to say that. So he'll do the time, and he'll get out, and that'll be the end of that. And they'll watch me for the rest of my life.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You would have been like the one back in the day when they drive the metro bus around and they'd offer you a bag lunch and you'd go for a ride around the Beltway all day.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when the guy left, you would be dropped back off, and they would, and you'd say, "Thank you for my little tour." That's what they did.
So every time there was something in your town, they'd be picking you up. It'd be like having the bus would show up, and all right, John, come on, time to go for the ride.
That's why when you see those guys and they're in the heart of wherever, there's no homeless, there's no people.
Right.
They go in hours beforehand or days beforehand. And this is back in the day. There would be no mailboxes, no phones, no nothing. They'd clean the streets.
Weld the manhole covers.
They weld up all the manhole covers, except a few. There would always be basically one every couple blocks, because underneath in the sewer down there was the National Guards and an agent waiting to pop out.
All right. Yeah.
So
my sister used to be involved in that stuff. She was a New York City detective, and she worked her way into the
anti-terrorism task force.
No, she was like a liaison to the president and the vice president, and she would ride in the lead car with the Secret Service guys.
Right.
But she had to coordinate with Washington whenever somebody was coming to town, whether it was Clinton, Obama. She worked with a couple of presidents, and she would always be involved in that stuff. And she's got some really good stories about, how they do that and how far in advance that they get in there and start figuring things out. And there's like 5 routes that they could use.
Right.
It's, A, B, C, D, and people are stationed and the whole deal,
Yeah.
Right.
My dad used to go out, 6 weeks before or whatever on when it was like 6 weeks, I think. And like I said, they just go out and they'd have their list of nut jobs that they had to go visit, and they start cleaning the area, cleaning the streets, and that was all done. So pretty interesting.
Sure.
That's cool.
Yeah. Neat. Oh.
Well, I think I'm gonna roll.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea too.
Yeah, I gotta find this impact. I don't know what the hell I did with it.
Maybe under the seat in the truck.
Could it be on the truck still? Yeah.
I went through the truck pretty good, and I remember last weekend. Right, actually, it was right before the show. Ray, I brought it in because I was going to do it during the show, and I got sidetracked.
You were busy last week, man. You were doing all sorts of stuff. You were building that toolbox.
Yeah, I loaded up, man. I had a cart I put together, got the toolbox all together, put the touch on, had to take a shelf out of the truck, rearrange everything, put the box in. I was hoping to sell it. I was hoping if I had all the eye candy there that Tuesday, I would have sold that. I really need to get rid of it. But it kind of fell through. I don't know. Some of those things you can't push. You just So then I have another used box. I actually it's too late now. I can't cut the top. I have to. I want to put a new top on it, and we used to have like this. I don't know what kind of. It's not wood, but it's like fiber paper or fiber board that used to be on our old boxes. I mean, it's sturdy. I mean, it's not, but when they get old, they get kind of crappy looking. And our new tops are like Formica plastic, and but it's because of older box, it's a little smaller, so I got to run it through the table saw. But it's a little late now. I think everybody would be upset if I ran that right now. So
Right.
I got a guy that's interested in that box I see tomorrow, but I won't have time to do it in the morning.
So what's the deal on those? You get $20 a week for 30 years?
What, the boxes?
Yeah.
I don't
3 payments.
I don't hold the notes anymore.
Oh.
I tell them, you want the box, and this is your, if you want this payment, it's through Macco financing.
Okay.
I don't right now the way everything is, I won't hold a note anymore.
Oh,
I mean, I make a little bit more money, but with how crappy things are, this way, when the guy tells me he doesn't have the money, I tell him it's not my problem. It's between you and Macco.
Yeah, you just got to collect for Macco at that point.
Yeah. So,
right. So isn't that actually kind of beneficial to you to run it through that? You're not making as much money on it, but you're getting paid.
Yeah. Well, Well, the only problem is if I hold the note, I get to collect the cash or the payment. So it's in my bank account. Now, if Macco's holding the note, all I'm doing is collecting the money and sending the money to Macco. And when they cut me the check, it's not in a paper form; it's in a credit, so it goes to my tool bill. So now it is great. Now, like I said, we'll just use easy numbers. If I sold a box and it's $10. Instead of me collecting the whole $10, if I held the note, I'm only getting $8.75.
Right.
So, but I do get it up front, and I'm paid. The only catch-22 to all that is that let's say we go 2 weeks and the guy stops paying. I have a 30-day grace period where Macco can kick that note back, and they would want, they'll bill me that note back, and then I had to deal with getting that money. So I'm not completely off the hook.
That's kind of crazy.
Well, that's unfortunately.
I guess they figure since you're face to face with him, let's let our tool guy do the money.
And trust me, they're not going to lose any money. So, that's the only problem I kind of have with, because some of these, like I said, some of these guys, they think they're going to get away with it or not pay, and the repercussion of that is if they say, well, this guy, we can't contact him or we can't do this. And if they feel that you're not doing, if they think that the guy's still there, if they call and the boss says, yeah, he's still here, but they never talk, they could turn around and kick the ticket back. And then I'm stuck with the hassle.
Wow.
That sucks.
So, I mean, that's like I said, that's one of those shitty parts. It doesn't happen too often, but
it does.
It's there, and but like I said, when it gets like how it is, I did the same thing I did right like back in 07, 08 when the market crashed. I didn't hold any notes. You know, everything I did was through Matco, and I didn't have to worry.
Yeah, it sounds
about
like
it.
a safer way to be.
Yeah, and usually, and that's even like with my trade-ins. It used to sometimes, you know, when I sold the box and had the guys trade in, instead of doing that in the contract form, I would hold the notes on that. And you know, those goes in spurts where usually you don't have a lot of money into the trade in. So if you do lose it, you're not really out a lot of money, you know.
Right.
But if everybody pays and it goes through, you actually do make a little bit of extra money.
Okay.
Most of my trade ins, I really don't have a lot of money into it. Shouldn't really say that on the air like that, but I don't.
It's late.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
No one's gonna watch this thing till the end.
no.
There's a good chance it's already shut off.
It could be. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. Like I was watching, it was like a couple of weeks ago when we were on for like 3 hours, and
Right.
and it shut off like almost an hour before we finished.
But where the hell is I?
Shut off like in the middle of your sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saw the freaking time too. I just saw it. Where the hell did it go? Now it's gone.
2:45.
2:45. Yeah.
Where are you seeing that? I just saw it. Now I missed it. Now I don't see it.
Next to the word live.
Yeah, up in the upper corner. On mine, it's in the upper corner.
Guess what? I don't have the word live on my screen.
I got
I
live
did.
at
Yeah, I got mine.
2:45:26.
Yeah, but I'm logged in as the administrator.
Oh,
My point is, if I don't have live on my screen, I don't think we're live.
yeah.
Oh, that's good. So it's private conversation.
I think we're just talking to ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's after your little bit about the Secret Service arresting.
Right.
You better
They
look
shut
at
us off. Yeah.
They got
shut
us.
off.
Maybe. Well, now we can say whatever we want. Yeah, I don't have. I know I saw it before. And
Mine still says live.
Yeah, mine still says live.
we'll have to check this and see where it clipped off.
Yeah. Did you hear something that Facebook's changing their name?
Yeah. And like the post
Really?
was talking about coming up with all these concocted names that were like hilarious.
And then people are saying that they want to make this a pay service.
Oh, really?
I'll be the first guy to leave.
Yeah, the hell with that.
I'm not gonna pay now, because if I'm gonna pay, I'll open up my own social media thing,
Right.
and I won't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's all about the money. So,
Yeah, well, they get enough money from all their advertising.
Oh yeah. Well, they all
That
do.
and then whatever your telephone listens to you say shows
Right.
up in your Facebook feed.
Yeah.
I see that all the time. I talk about stuff, or I'll look at something, and then boom, there it is, and I'm flooded with it.
See, I watch a bunch of tech videos on YouTube, and this one guy does a lot of computer and phone stuff, and they showed how to go through your phone. They went through it step by step by step.
What to shut off.
And I was doing it with them, and then son of a bitch, yeah, a lot of this stuff just stopped.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's all gonna come back, because if you take a look at your phone, you'll probably notice that your operating system is ready for another update again.
Oh yeah.
I got the little, see here, software update. Wants to update the software, and that's when I click later.
No.
Oh, screw yourself.
Later.
Right.
Yeah, I had to do that a while back with my phone. It was a couple years ago. We were restoring a Trans Am, and all of a sudden I'm like scrolling through Facebook and I'm like, floor pans, quarter panels, fender. Like,
Right.
I'll tell you what, though, I'm actually kind of happy that they are so intrusive, because I belong to a bunch of Facebook groups that have to do with 70 to 73 Firebird Camaro or second gen Firebird Camaro.
Right.
And I'm getting bombarded in Marketplace with people that are selling parts or cars that are all this genre.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm like, well, this is good, because now I'm like seeing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
There's always things that I'm looking for,
Right.
And
Right.
so I'm like, okay, well, for that particular thing, the algorithm is actually working in my favor.
Yeah.
But
Hey, my
other
Laminex,
stuff's ridiculous.
my Laminex yellow headlight shields are scheduled to come in like Monday.
Cool.
So by this time next week, I should have yellow high beams.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I've been having trouble with my
Nice.
truck. I have to take it in for an oil change. You get that warning from OnStar.
Yeah.
Your truck has decided that it needs an oil change. Do you want us to make the appointment? The whole deal. But the last couple of days, almost every time that I start the truck, well, I need an oil change. So the first nag screen is change oil soon.
Yeah.
And then when it gets to that certain level, then it goes oil change needed. But I keep getting a nag screen that asks me new brake pads, yes or no. And I click no. And then I'll go to start the truck, shut the truck off. 15 minutes later, I get in the truck, I start the truck, and the nag screen comes on and says, new brake pads with a question mark. Like my computer thinks that I changed the brake pads. And I got the button on the wheel that'll toggle between yes and no.
Yeah.
So I'll hit the OK button on no, and it'll clear. Then, I don't know, later on in the day, it comes back up. So I toggle to yes, then I toggle back to no, and I don't do anything, and it clears itself. Or I go to yes, go to no, click OK, but it's not locking into the memory of that whole diagnostic dealie.
Right.
And something has told my truck that I went in there and changed all the brake pads, which I did not do.
Or maybe it's the other way. Maybe it's trying to get you to change.
No, when I check life, it says that I have 60% of the pad left.
Then it shouldn't have thought you changed them.
Shouldn't be asking me that.
No, it shouldn't.
This just started. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take the truck in for an oil change and a tire rotation, and maybe it's just something that they can clear.
When you what's the mileage on the oil change interval that they flag you at?
10,000 miles.
Wow, 10,000.
Yeah.
What weight does that truck take?
It's 2,500. It's pretty. Oh, oil wise, it's like water. It's like 5W15 or something. 520. Yeah.
I know a lot of the Japanese cars now
W.
using the Toyotas are using 0.16.
Yeah.
But I don't think the Chevys are.
No, it's 520W.
All right.
Yeah, and it's 10,000 mile interval on it. So
wow.
So I get like an oil change a year. It's full synthetic.
Yeah. Right.
You know, so it's kind of odd. But I
like
pretty
the fact, standard now.
Yeah. It the OnStar thing updated the other night in the middle of the night. I got in the truck and came on the center stack saying that it had updated.
Do you have a hook to your phone?
I only use the Apple CarPlay, which comes on automatically when you plug the phone into the truck. But other than that, no.
Yeah, because Jenny had hers hooked to the.
But I actually pay a fee to OnStar. It's like $10 a month. And what that does is it opens up the ability for OnStar to do certain things. Like I get in a crash, it calls the cops, that kind of deal. But it automatically does its updates. And it knows that the truck's not going anywhere. And it calls home somehow. Don't ask me how.
Yeah.
It's not doing it through my Wi-Fi at my house because I didn't have to program that into it. So I'm assuming it's through the OnStar satellite system.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, from their end. Yeah.
Yeah. So every now and then I'll get in the truck in the morning and it'll say that there was an update to the software. But now this freaking nag screen with the brake pads is like really starting to piss me off.
You have to ask them at the dealer. Yeah.
The other thing I need to find out is I'm just too lazy to figure it out. How do I shut off the governor on that truck?
I'm just thinking with the brake pads, maybe it's looking at like time and mileage, and the algorithm is making it think you should be replacing brake pads
Yeah.
at that time in mileage, but your driving style is such that you don't need to.
I'm so much highway. Every 5,000 miles, the truck is at the dealer because I got that like super extended warranty.
Yeah.
And they do a tire rotation.
Right.
And I tell the guy, look at the pads, and he's like, no, dude, you got tons of pad. Don't even, nowhere near.
Right.
So.
See, that's the problem.
I'm thinking I'm going to wind up buying the exact same tires. This will be like the last rotation on the tires. They're starting to get thin. And I bought that thing in 2020.
Wow.
And I've got like 66,000 miles on it already.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's good tire life.
It's awesome tire life because I know I can go another 5,000 or 6,000 miles before the tires get really crappy.
I'm going
to buy the exact same tires that are on the truck.
That's what I was going to say to you. All through the years, I always changed the tires on the car with the ones that I wanted to go with and the brands that I liked. And I always had some kind of little stupid issues, or I could feel it. So my wife's car with the Cruise, I said, you know what? I'm putting the same freaking tires on this thing that it came with. They were Firestones. I said, that's what I'm putting on, and the car stayed exactly the same. There's really something to be said for the engineering they do behind the tire technology. I agree.
I'm pretty sure I got Michelin's on this thing.
Okay. It's a great tire.
When I take it in, I'll be spending money because I'm going to change shocks and struts at the same time because you can feel it. You get to that 60,000 mile mark and the pothole that was a little badoomp, 8 months ago is now bang.
Yeah.
It's got Rancho shocks. Rancho shocks don't last forever.
But they don't cover that under the extended warranty?
I don't know.
They might.
No idea.
They might.
Only if it leaks.
Yeah, right. Probably if it leaks. So, but I'm gonna have that stuff changed out. If it's something I got to pay for, it's something I got to pay for.
That's when you get under there with your Rambo machine gun, and it says, "You want leaks? Sorry, bitch."
Yeah, right. Drill a couple of holes in them.
Like a little 1/8-inch hyper-step drill bit, and you go drill a little hole.
You know what's kind of weird is they never rotate out your spare tire.
Oh yeah, they do a 4-tire rotation.
So I kind of like worry about that I got this perfectly brand new tire sitting up under the bed it's going to die just from dry rot.
Yeah.
It's a shame to have and those big Michelins, they're big. It's $275. They're probably like $300 to $400 a piece.
Guys don't know how to do a 5-tire rotation anymore.
Yeah.
It used to be common. Hey, I just pitched a tool idea to Lyle because they have their tool idea program, and I thought of it when I was working on EFJ. When I did the brakes, I think mine are like 265 16s. They're big tires and they're heavy. To put those things back on the lugs, it was like and I don't have that truck high off the ground, so I wasn't lifting them way up in the air. And I thought of it. I said, for the cars that use bolts, I bought those the alignment pins that you thread into the rotor, and BMWs, Mercedes, my Fiat is like that, and you just hang the wheel over those pins, and then you can thread a couple bolts in, and they hate it. So I said, what about something like that? But for these things like trucks with these truck tires that are so heavy. And I said, all you got to do is make a pin that instead of having a male thread to go into the rotor, has a female thread. And I measured the inside diameter of the rim. I said, that's the only variable because rims could vary. So it's got to be thin enough to fit through the wheel. And I drew it up. I drew a diagram and I pitched it. I sent Eddie Lyle an email yesterday. I said, hey, Eddie, I said, I made a tool pitch on the site. He goes, oh, that was the right way to do it. This way it'll go through channels. And he goes, well, they'll let you know what happens. But who knows? Maybe maybe my idea will be sold through Lyle.
Yeah. I got this truck's got big tires on it there.
Yeah.
I think they're 19s.
Wow. They're heavy.
They are.
They're heavy.
They're heavy. They're big aluminum wheels, big black aluminum cloverleaf looking rims.
Right.
You're supposed
and it's a big tire.
Yeah.
So the next time you do that, Ray, I'll show you how to put those wheels on so you don't have to lift them.
Well, like I said, I'm not even 6 inches off the ground.
No, I know that.
You know, but
And all you got to do is use your pry bar, and you roll the tire over to your pry bar,
and uses a lift,
and you lift it up and slide it on.
That's good. That's a good idea.
And I had a kid when I had a flat tire in a tool truck, you know, and he wanted to try to find some jack point on the truck and try to lift. I said it was one of the outer rear wheels, you know, and I said, son, if you're going to be in this business, you need to learn to work a little smarter and not wear your body out.
Yeah.
I said, where's a 2x4? And he goes, a 2x4. I said, yeah, where's a 2x4? So he gets a 2x4 and we put it on the inner tire of the truck.
Drive over it.
I drive up over, so raise the tire up only, you know, the 2 inches. We took it off, and he's trying to pick the tire off. You know, we just slid it off. But I didn't even use a pry bar. I just used my foot. I just rolled it up over my foot and lifted it up a little bit. You know, lift my, you know, on the heel.
Yeah.
Slid it on, and I said, this way you don't kill yourself.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
I used to do the same thing when you got to change trailer tires.
Yeah.
You roll it up on something, then it lifts the tires up that you got to change the flat.
You know what? Now I see the time. We just hit 3 hours.
Yeah.
So all right, I'm gonna hit the end stream thing and let